Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast. This is episode 130, part 1. I am joined by some familiar faces here tonight. Nate Hale on my left, your right, I believe. Is that right? Yeah. And then my left and your center is Spencer Lappin.
Hey, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy.
Good. Nate?
So good to see you.
It's good to be seen, my friend. Good to be seen.
It's always good when you're on, Spencer.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. So I want to thank our sponsors. I'm going to throw them up on the screen here. And we've got the Tinder Box at Easton. Tonight we're going to be smoking something from the Tinder Box at Easton and also Miami Cigar Company. It's Nestor Miranda Special Selection. And this is a cigar that we have enjoyed. We're going to get into that. Also, I want to thank Altadis USA. The second cigar tonight is a garage favorite. It's a Monte Cristo White Rothschild. So Monte Cristo White Series Rothschild size. And we always enjoy that. So that's for the second part. Thank you, Altadis, for that and the continuing support, as well as the Cigar Company. I've got, I think, a couple golds and a silver here right to my right. Always enjoy smoking those. They are available, bscigarcompany@gmail.com or at Tinder Box at Easton, our other sponsor. They are available at that shop in Columbus, Ohio, and they also ship. So you can contact Tinder Box at Easton or Cigar Company for those cigars. And they're always fantastic. All Nicaraguan tobacco in both blends, 2 different factories, Plasencia and La Zona for those blends. I also want to thank patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. That is going to be all of our supporters. Nate has a shirt on. I have a shirt on. Spencer got his shirt. He was a patron and supporter of the podcast for some time. So we finally got these shirts in. It says, pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together, which is kind of a slogan of the show. And on the back, it has the Bourbon and BS podcast logo. So
you want me to turn around?
You don't have to turn around.
Okay.
No one wants to see that. Spencer can show the back of the shirt if he wants to. That would be easier. Thank you. And for those of you on air, that dead air is him showing the logo on the back of the shirt. So if you guys are interested in helping us out, keep supporting the podcast as far as this, the StreamYard that we use so we can get this out there to you guys and on the audio and just keep expanding it. It helps us out with a lot of the extra things that we want to do in the future, including things like the t-shirts. So that helps out with patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. And that way you can do a monthly donation or contribution or whatever you want to call it going forward, as long as you'd like, as big or little as you'd like. It helps us out. So that being said, Spencer, how you been, man?
We live?
We've been live, yeah.
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be back in the garage, man. Beautiful, beautiful night here in Columbus, Ohio. Got a little wind going, got a little breeze. Mm-hmm. Feels good to be back, my friend. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Quite lovely. Nate, how about yourself?
Good. Feeling really good. And, almost 20 degrees cooler than it was last week. That's Ohio for you. No, been a real busy week at work with everything, but all in all,
at your day job, right?
Yeah, at my day job.
At your day job. Yeah. Why has it been so busy?
Well, you got some utilities that stuff on their side's broken, so it makes my life more complicated and hectic, and trying to recover from some down months. So getting more requests and pushing harder. I support the top channel.
Go ahead, Spencer. Go ahead.
It starts to feel a little bit more normal here. I think last time I was here maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I noticed last week you guys were talking about competition.
Yeah.
So I just think having the normalcy of baseball back and, basketball back and stuff like that just feels like we're kind of back into a routine. I know the world is still a crazy place and everything like that. But for some reason, these past few weeks have felt more normal. Or maybe we're just adjusting to the new normal more.
Yeah. Here, Nate, go ahead for a second.
No, I found out today. So last week I found out that with my company, office here in Columbus and the Chicago office, we're not going back to the office until at least January.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like not even returning in large groups. It'll be like small groups at a time if we do return. But then I also found out today that our company, so my division of the company doesn't actually own any buildings or offices. We just lease office space. And so with us being as productive as we have been, they're actually looking at the possibility of just doing away with office spaces.
I think you're going to find that a lot. We've talked about it a little bit. I mean, you're going to find that all around, and it's, I don't know. I think it'll go in a cycle, but
I miss the office.
I think you're going to find a lot of people that are going to be used to working from home, and then once the possibility to go back into the office, at least in some respect, I think you're going to find more the middle and upper management finding it harder and harder as time goes on to basically get the team together. I think you're going to have more individuality. I think the Zoom calls are going to play its length. I mean, it's just not going to be the same. I think at some point, just like anything else, I think things go in cycles and circles. And
we've been doing Teams meetings with 30, 40 people in a meeting.
I think it's great. I don't know. We'll see. I'm one that maybe it's old fashioned or whatever, but I think Spencer's a salesperson, also running a company, and basically I know you travel a lot because there still is. There's a handshake. Yeah. I know that's kind of
not
faux
anymore.
pas
Not
now.
anymore. Not anymore. There's no handshake.
I think you'll get back to the handshake thing. I think you have the face to face is not the same over a screen unless it's necessary to do so. We went through that, I think, and this is kind of off topic here for part one, but I think we went through that when I saw a lot of industries probably 10, 15 years ago, where whether they had they merged or they gotten acquired by someone else. But when you're looking at the cutting the fat, a lot of it was expense accounts. A lot of it was travel accounts. You're like, hey, all this technology is now available that you don't even have to leave the office. And then people like at first are like, oh man, we're saving so much money. And then you saw a lot of companies saying we need to get back out because we're losing touch with the people.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And I think that's what you're going to see going forward. You'll see commercial real estate go real cheap at some point. And then they'll come back and people will start realizing that there is something to being face-to-face.
Keep in mind, we've only been in this for 6 months, so we really don't know how productive people are or how non-productive people are. But a lot of, at least in my world, the really high up corporate people, they're not traveling at all.
No, not yet.
Their expense accounts have been cut and their car allowances and all that type of good stuff. But who knows what's going to happen 6 months from now, just taking things week by week right now.
That's all you can do is roll with it.
Yeah.
But for part one, that might be part of part two here. So for those that are tuning in for the first time, part one is more about the cigar and the whiskey, the featured cigar and whiskey. We do a review. That's the bourbon part, I guess, or the bourbon and whiskey, and the cigar part of it. And then the BS part is more part two, but it kind of translates all the way through most of the time. What are we drinking tonight here, fellas?
Spencer
Brought a bottle.
Yeah, so I brought a bottle. So this is small batch Hirsch Reserve Select Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I sent Steve a picture of about 5 or 6 different bottles, all kind of different price ranges. I just wanted to try something. I've never had this before and wanted to try something that we've never had. So this one's a little bit lower proof. Nate, what's the proof on this? You said it's basically 86?
86 proof.
86. So it's not the same high heat that you guys kind of typically have on this podcast. But the thing that I found interesting about this is kind of the marketing aspect. Bobby Crow, I'm sure, remembers a few weeks ago, we were talking about the marketing of whiskey and things like that.
Yeah.
And he had the Duke, and we were like, all right, why is this one bottle $120? And he was like, it's rare, it's this. And I think Steve, me and you and a couple other people agreed that it was because the name was behind it. And so what we found out with this was that the name has kind of been through a few different iterations. So this is actually, would we assert it? The company is owned in California.
Yes.
Correct.
It is sourced in Indiana at MGP. And it is bottled in Silverton, Ohio. So a little bit of everything. This company used to be, the name Hirsch is actually from Pennsylvania. They used to be owned by the Van Winkles. Yes, those same Van Winkles.
Yes, that family, yes.
And then they're owned by Michner's. And the 16 year of this, which was by the Van Winkles, kind of goes for about $2 to $3 grand. And then they also have a 24 year. But it was just something different that I don't even know if you can buy this in Ohio. I've never seen it. So I just wanted to kind of bring something that was a little bit unique.
Interesting.
Which is perfect. It's
bottled
bottled
in
here.
Ohio, and it's not even sold here in Ohio.
Bottled here, but you can't get it here.
Thank you, OHL.
And they have multiple selections. I saw online when I was looking this up. I mean, there are different. Like there's an 8 year.
Yeah. Thank goodness they went with
the small batch reserve here.
7 year.
No, this. Well, I was going to read it later, or Steve was going to read it. But no, it's a blend. No, thank goodness.
You say that's so disappointed.
No, it's not.
It's a blend.
So it's 4 to 6. It's a blend of 4 to 6 year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad they went with the guy's last name, not his first name. So
What's the first name?
Adolf.
Adolf.
You just can't do that anymore.
One guy.
One guy ruined the name for everybody. And Michael Jordan's the only person that can still pull off that mustache.
Wow.
There was a lot of time where he had just that little.
Too soon, Steve?
I think Theo Huxtable did all right.
Let's just not talk about Theo's dad.
Not the Cosby Show. No Adolf and no Cosby. Got it. Check.
I'm getting sleepy. What'd you put in this bourbon?
You can't joke about that.
I want to talk for a second before we kind of go into this about. So I was trying to do a little bit of research on this. I asked a couple of buddies who have had this bourbon before, and I kind of want to know. And I really don't go to pages to figure out. I was trying to figure out who actually made it, where it's from. I don't necessarily go for tasting notes. I think I can kind of discern that for myself. But are you finding that on bourbon pages, people are very judgy, very I don't know, like snappy, very. It's just a weird thing.
On bourbon pages or on like blogs that review?
Both. It just seems like it's just a very negative vibe. No matter how good the bottle is, that people are almost looking for the flaws than looking for the good notes on it.
Yeah, when people are reviewing stuff, so there's two things. I think with blogs, when they first were getting big, everyone was this like kind of self-proclaimed critic. No one was really paying them at that time. They started a blog hoping to get sponsorships, hoping to get
maybe
their
side job. Maybe start a podcast.
All right, stay with me here. But when the blogs were happening, I think a lot of the times with blogs, they would be a little extra picky. Some people would. It's like they were editorial writers in a paper where it's like they tried to have a voice. Either they were going to be the one that just tore everything apart, or they were going to be the one that tried to find the good in certain things.
Okay.
That has now progressed, in my opinion, to a lot of like Facebook groups and those bourbon pages and such, where now they're educating themselves from these blogs, and a lot of the reputable ones, in my opinion, anymore are as good as specialty magazines.
Like
you know what I mean? Like
or cigar fish,
yeah,
or something like that.
So, and you kind of can find a voice in these different reviewers that you would agree with, and I think that's the one nice thing about having many whiskey publications and now cigar publications, that you don't always have to go with just the biggest name. You want to find one that you kind of tend to follow their palette or their notes, and you say, hey, I like that one too. Hey, I didn't care for that one. You kind of find someone that you want to kind of follow along with because you have a similar palette. I do agree with you with a lot of the bourbon pages now.
Are cigar reviews similar to this, where people kind of tear into the cigar?
Yeah, and I think what happens a lot of times with the pages or the groups you're talking about, if you're talking about like Facebook,
I'm just talking about just the review. If you just
the reviews,
cigar review of X brand, and it just doesn't seem to be very positive. It just seems to be let me rip into it and then give it an 8 out of 10.
I think it depends on the publication, because a lot of the ones that I see, they talk about cigar and then they're like, all right, here's what I get out of it. And, some people keep it short, keep it concise, and some people appreciate that. And then there are some people out there that are like, all right, in the first third of this cigar, I get these 6 tasting notes. And then in the middle third of the cigar, I get these 6 tasting notes. It's like, what? Like, the average person's not going to, your average cigar smoker is not going to relate to that.
No, but I can appreciate what they're trying to do there, because it does at least frame it. And we've all been victim to that, where you read something, we joke about like the cherry seltzer or whatever, it's like you hear or you read or someone says it and you take another sip, you take a puff of it, you're like, God damn it, now I taste that.
Yeah.
Like your mind can definitely.
White Claw?
That would be black cherry, I believe.
It's delicious.
It's not bad.
Tarragon.
No laws.
So what do you guys think about the bourbon a little bit, I guess?
Steve.
Me first. I'm getting a little bit of sweetness, light fruit from it. These 6 notes in this order. No, just kidding. Very little. I mean, just a little bit of heat, or I mean, it always kind of goes back to like a cinnamon or some sort of a mint, a little bit with that heat. But the main ones are going to be a sweetness, like an apple, or like not really citrus, but more apple. Not much vanilla. There's a little creaminess to it, but I'm not getting much vanilla like we get a lot of times. you know, a lot of times with the whiskeys, we get like that oak and vanilla. I feel like
so. This is 26% rye from what I read as well.
Yeah.
So it's a high rye.
Yeah, so they consider that a high rye. I think this is very kind of light on the palate. You know,
It is.
This obviously would go well in a cocktail because it's not really gonna
what cocktail?
any type of cocktail. I mean, for $25 or $50
Anything you
or
wanna
whatever
tell
this is. I mean, you can put this in a cocktail, but this is a very smooth, easy drink one. I don't think it nearly has the depth of some of the other ones that we've had.
No,
But you know, it's very light. I get a little caramel, things along those lines, but it's just light and smooth and easy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
I don't know how memorable is it.
No, I'd throw an ice cube in this actually.
Yeah.
I'd throw
Really?
one ice cube in this. Yeah,
I think
because it's a lighter one. I'm not getting
But I think at
it's all
86,
front.
I think at 86 proof, throwing an ice cube in it might weaken it too
Water it down?
much. It might be too much.
Yeah, but for me, that's fine. I sometimes I'll throw.
You want to drink it because you
I
want to
s-
enjoy it versus try to pick out the
Exactly.
flavors and you just want to get through it or have
Well,
a nice cold
I
drink.
start neat and I do this and now it's kind of like, all right, it's okay. I'm not really completely in love with it, but I think it's a good pour for what. Do we know the price on this? Do we determine this?
What I saw MSRP is in the low to mid 40s.
Anywhere between 25 and $50, basically, depending on where you're at.
All right, so call it 40
Yeah, I'm willing to resell it to anyone out there
for $50
for $50.
minus the 3 pours.
There is half a bottle left.
I don't know. I feel like
If
we're
we sign
sounding
it.
like we're signing. Yeah, maybe someday. I feel like we're not really doing it justice. When I say I want to put an ice cube in it, so going back to some of the blog things that you were talking about, Spencer, and some of the groups, and like, yeah, do a podcast. I try to find the good in a lot of things. There are very few. Like there was I forget which bottle it was, but we had Nate and Bobby, who you mentioned, that were in the crowd.
Yeah.
And they were just like 2.
Oh, I know.
And it's like they just like fucking hated it. I thought they were gonna pour it on the garage floor.
Wiggle.
Yeah, it was
It was that Pennsylvania Wiggle, the
I-
organic.
I look at this and it's like, all right, so for if this was $80, and I always go to the price game a little bit. If this was $80, I would be disappointed. With it being, say, 40, 35, $40 probably on average. You know, it's not my favorite. This is something that, again, if I say I'm going to throw an ice cube in it, it's not because it's terrible. You know, I'm not trying to bruise it or water it down or anything like that. And I get what you're saying, Nate, about, being 43%. It'll knock the content down a little bit, but I don't drink for the alcohol content. I think that you could still have flavor coming from it.
Yeah.
But it'd be a little bit more enjoyable to me if it was like, and maybe
I think a lot of times
maybe it's a cigar. I don't know.
I think a lot of times though, when people add an ice cube or a little splash of water or something, it's usually because it's something that's a little higher proof. So they're trying to tone it down because they get so much heat and they want to try and get more flavors than just heat on their palate.
Yeah.
So they're trying to proof it down a little bit doing that.
I think you're going 3-dimensional chess out here. I think if I had ice cubes or do Woodford on the rocks, it's just because I want to get it into my system and just kind of enjoy it.
Blast off.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it has nothing to do with the flavor notes. I'll tell you that.
Well.
At least that's me personally.
Well, I mean, if you're drinking it just because you want to drink it and you're not doing a review on it, then yeah, that's
what do you
that's
get
different.
at? What do you get at a wedding?
At a wedding?
So weddings used to be this thing where
What?
everyone would get together and you could. So at an open bar, what do you get at a wedding?
Open 6 Schlitzes, whatever's free. Whatever's free.
Wait, does your date want anything?
No.
So I actually went to a wedding recently, and they did have an open bar, but it was very limited as to what they had. And so you had there was a Canadian whiskey, there was Jack Daniels, there was Tito's,
What else do you need?
there was
Sounds like
Captain.
a full bar.
That's
Doesn't
a full bar. That's not Wells
and then there
at
was
all.
Crown.
Wells is like
And
instead of Jack Daniels, you have Old Crow.
Bobby Hirschman's gonna like it, but the whole night I just drank Crown and Coke all night long
Attaboy.
So here's where we're going with this. So you're adding Coca-Cola
because
to your
they,
drink
because they were
with ice.
because they were not allowed to pour just straight shots.
Classics.
It had to be a mixed drink. They were not allowed to serve shots. It had to be a mixed drink.
Interesting.
So I was at a wedding one time, and it was an open bar, but it was only beer and wine. And they had Well Liquors, and My tab was
beer and wine.
my tab was $150 at the bar. The bar had free beer and wine. The tab was $150.
That's not how you're supposed to do that, Steve.
Well, we had a great
lot
time.
of black cherry claws, bro. That's
way before claws. This was like seriously, it was like Old Crow on the shelf, and we had like lines of shots with like the bride's mom and the bride. Groom didn't make it up to the room that night. He literally passed out in the elevator.
I mean, are they happy now?
It can't. Yeah.
Okay.
Just asking for a friend.
3 kids later, I think 3.5 kids later.
They're all his kids.
3.5 kids later. Yeah. No, they're great. They're amazing people. But that was when you talk about what do you get at a wedding. It's like whatever they got.
Yeah.
Sir, the beer is included. Yeah, I want. What tequila do you have?
I'll be at Applebee's across the street for a couple minutes, and I'll be back in a few.
In all fairness, Wedding Crashers had just come out, and my friend Ben and I went down there, and we were in charge of. I drove the car.
Smart.
This was
before
before
Uber. I'm assuming
it was before Uber, but I had a '98 white DeVille, and I was the driver for the bride and groom.
Name drop.
Cadillac. That's almost imported. But he was doing the videography, and then by the end of it, we were using art. It's corny, but it's like we were using our ties for the limbo bar, and we had gotten everyone drunk beyond belief.
That's not corny. That sounds like a great wedding.
It was great. We were in a lot of pictures.
And you said you were not. You said you were not invited to this wedding. This was when
I just showed up.
These guys are a blast.
They'd come up. Yeah, I started per the groom's request. I started the dance floor with the worm.
You love Congo lines, if I recall.
We just did limbo.
If you've never seen Steve do the worm, it's hilarious.
It's impressive.
Yeah, the biceps just do all the work.
Yeah,
crazy.
Can't do it like I used to, but who can?
Prove it. Prove it. Prove it.
All right, hold this.
So, Wedding Crashers. I think we all love
Great
that movie.
Great movie.
That is not realistic. You cannot go to a wedding and just show up and just plan on sitting down at a random table.
And there's the dare of the week, everyone, from Spencer Lappin on
in
Bourbon.
COVID. Try to go to a random wedding.
To a random wedding with 10 or less people.
Yeah.
And just show up.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have drinks on the dance floor, but call it a day.
Huh?
We have a question from the audience.
You got to hit mute on the mic there, the fourth one. Oh, geez. He doesn't know how to do it. See,
Channel
1,
4.
2,
So
3,
starting
and
with
then
the left,
4,
what's
there's a
the-
mute one. Yeah, that's you.
Wait.
Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I think you're still
not
on.
on.
The one that said, or
Now you want to go help him
count
out.
from the left. 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is great.
There's a wedding coming up here soon that it's random.
What does that mean?
What is, you got? I don't
What?
understand.
Whose wedding?
I don't know.
So,
Well,
we're just-
I do know who it is, but I don't know them.
So there's a random.
so you want to crash this wedding?
Not crash it, but enjoy it.
That's
Alright.
literally
That's
what's
so-
called in crashing the
That is
wedding.
So for those out there that don't know what wedding crashing is, which is where
I just want to
Kyle's
enjoy
at.
someone else's wedding. That
So
is the
for
definition of wedding
everyone, that's
crashing.
Kyle the photographer. Look for him.
More of a behind the scenes guy.
He may be also arrested in the near future.
Steve, what are we smoking here, my friend?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. This is the Nestor Miranda Special Selection, and this cigar is all Nicaraguan. It's a re-release. So this is one that was originally out for the Miami Cigars, Nestor Miranda Special Selection. This was discontinued. Let me look this back up. It was discontinued, phased out in 2014 because Nestor Miranda, who is the owner of Miami Cigar, brought out Nestor Miranda Collection, phased this one out. Originally, this was made by someone else. It was a different blend altogether. It was made in Honduras. It was a little bit different. Debuted in 2006.
How did you choose this cigar for
Oh, wait,
this
hang on.
podcast?
I'll tell you here in just a second. This one is made by My Father Cigars now. So someone that, a company that we have really liked on the podcast. This is all Nicaraguan tobacco. See if I can come up with the actual blend here. So it's a Habano wrapper, Criollo 98 binder, and then 3 regions, 3 major regions, out of the 4, Condega, Esteli, and Jalapa in the filler. So it's all Nicaraguan tobacco. This is one that Nate and I really like. A lot of people in the shop at Tinder Box at Easton really, really enjoy this. Jerry says Placencia. He's the rep, so we're going to have to go toe-to-toe with him. I'm pretty sure it says my father on the box, but I may be wrong. So, Jerry, if you're out there, let us know.
Or is he saying it was originally made by
Placencia in Honduras. That might be it. That may be it.
So,
But
I'm assuming this is mild.
You think it's mild?
I think this is about as mild as the bourbon is mild. I might be off on this, but I think that they're both kind of same level of. I'm not getting a lot of complexity off of this one, me personally.
Okay. So what I like about this one is that I think that the body is going to be more in that medium plus for me, but it's extremely smooth.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that offsets it.
So I was smoking a cigar yesterday during the day and had to keep going back and relighting it. And it was a good cigar. It was Rocky Patel LB1. We did it when Rocky was on here on the show. But it was just like I kept having to relight it. It was getting bitter and it was getting plugged up a little bit because it was. I mean, you're talking like 8 hours having to relight it because I was actually working.
So it wasn't failing on you. It was just
it was no. It was nothing to do with the cigar. It was literally just me going back and forth to it.
Because as soon as the customer walks into the store, you have to put your mask on. So
Yeah.
You can't keep smoking.
So when at the end of the day, I grabbed this cigar in what they call the size of a coffee break. It's a smaller version of it.
550.
Yeah.
How
So
long does that supposed to last?
you're looking at like 30 minutes.
It's a long coffee break.
Yeah.
I
But,
think that cigar lasts a lot longer than that for me.
But anyways, I went to it and it was the draw, and I agree with this. This is I think a 5.5 by 54. This is a really well constructed cigar in my opinion. As you see on Spencer's, if you can see it, you might want to relight that because the ash is not the most solid, and sometimes it burns a little wonky. But for me, I do enjoy the draw of it, and it smokes really well.
It's a gorgeous looking cigar. Some cigars just
The Habano wrapper is
look
beautiful.
beautiful. So this is a Habano wrapper. I obviously love the logo on it. Very Cleveland Browns-esque. So this is gorgeous.
Yeah. Kylie says can't hear Nate, which is fine.
Because Kyle hit the wrong mute
We
button.
need to train-
because it can't-
No,
because
we can hear you now.
Kyle
We
can't-
can hear you now.
Kyle can't count to 4.
He counted to 4, but he went the wrong way.
Yeah, no, I think he knew what he was doing.
We'll do a group training class for the soundboard. Anyways, no,
This is
you
why
talked about the band, right? So the special selection, and I've told Jerry this, and there was a couple other cigars. We've talked about this before, is that the one thing I will say, I think they did make it pop a little bit more with the white behind the Nestor Miranda collection. But
I know where you're going.
the bronzy orange foil,
Yeah.
you have to have the right light to hit it so that you can read it.
Oh, I can't read it. But
Well,
I think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I think it needs to pop a little bit more. I will say that is a little, the boxes are cool. It has a little bit of that burlap on the box, like a stripe of it. Real basic wooden boxes, but it's great. But again, yeah. So Nate brought this up. You're looking at that $8 range for this size. I think this
is $8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good cigar for $8, my friend.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. When we got this in when the Tinder Box got it in, there was a lot of, because a lot of times when the shop gets something new in, the staff's like, oh, I want to try it because, it's new, but I also want to be able to sell it. But it's one that the staff keeps going back to because it's a good cigar. And then as often as with our small staff, as much as the staff is there and as many cigars as we all smoke in a week.
What's the employee discount policy over here? Just out of
None of your business.
Yeah. No, not disclosing that. They're
And no, we're not hiring.
Yeah. I take back my second question.
Talk to Brian after COVID, but I don't think he can afford you.
Yeah.
Again, the employee discount is worth it.
Yeah. It is.
No, I really enjoy this.
So Nate and Steve, I hear you guys on the podcast a lot, and I was actually at a cigar shop on Monday, and I just kind of did it out of, this girl was asking me kind of what I wanted. I said, these were kind of the terms that you guys were using. And I was like, well, I want, Nicaraguan tobacco and I want Connecticut leaf. And she was like, it took her a second, but she found there was a couple that had it. But why specifically do you guys like Nicaraguan tobacco these days?
Well, I mean, for me, I like Dominican, I like Nicaraguan, I like Honduran, and even the blends of them, or even some of the cigars that throw in either Brazilian or Peruvian, Panamanian tobacco in there. It all depends on the cigar, but Nicaragua, I think a lot of people are enjoying it because I think a lot of the market right now likes the medium to full body smokes, and you get more of that, or it's easier to do that with the type of soil and the type of tobacco being grown in Nicaragua. They're going to be a fuller tobacco. They're going to have more spice to it typically. Like, I mean, we sit there and describe anything coming out of my father factory. It's like, yeah, there's going to be some spice in there somewhere. Whether it's my
You get
father.
a lot of spice out of this one?
No, not a lot,
I
but
don't.
it's there. It's there. It hits on the back. I get with the Habano wrapper, and especially with that Criollo binder, I get a nice little nuttiness to it. Not as much as, say, the Camacho Criollo. I think this is a little bit just a tad stronger than that cigar, but it's got a really nice flavor to it. It's very smooth, kind of like Steve said, medium to full in terms of the body, and medium in terms of the strength of the flavor. Like it's not an overpowering cigar on the palate.
I know you were joking a little bit about the first third, the second third, things like that. I do get significantly more flavor in the second third
It builds
than I did in the first.
This cigar is.
You're saying it's building on you?
It's building on me. It's becoming a little bit more fuller. Maybe
Yeah.
that's just because my draw is just getting a little better as I kind of get through it.
Yeah.
No, I think it is a little bit of a complex smoke in the sense that the cigar does change a little bit as you smoke your way through it. It's not just the same thing the whole way through the cigar. It actually does build up a little bit, which is a nice characteristic to have in some cigars.
Kylie throws it out there. My father is the cigar featured topic for part 2, daddy issues. We can possibly visit that one.
Does she have?
Tune into part 2 and find out.
All right.
Kylie, just go ahead and message us on the
On the public forum.
on the public forum and let us know where we're at on that. Just you have a little bit of time, but yes, please let us know. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I've got someone trying to call me. We're getting that patio done in the back, Spencer.
Good.
Yeah. You have
Think
to
about
keep
doing the
everyone-
podcast back there?
I don't know. Probably not. It's nice to be in the garage. This is the actual studio, but we might do some after hours back there on the patio once it's done.
Perfect, man.
Like a
Unless he's
beyond
calling to say it's not going to be done.
Beyond the BS.
Beyond the BS. Maybe do some, like Sunday reviews or something with a bottle or a whiskey, something like that.
Ooh, I like
Sunday morning whiskey.
it. Sunday brunch.
Watch
With-
F1 racing at 9 a.m. We can do it, baby. Whatever it takes.
That's right. I get so it's funny that, and it's not because they said it, but coffee break. This is one that I think would go really well with the black coffee because there is that black coffee. There's a little bit, and bear with me when I'm saying this because I feel like when I hear it, it comes across poorly, but it's got a little bit of that dry bitter, but it's not something that turns me off like some other cigars. There is a little bit of this dry bitterness towards it, like a black coffee though, that I'm going to keep drinking.
When you say that, I was actually thinking more like a
You say leather, I swear to God.
no, not leather, like a dark, high percentage cocoa, like a high percentage cocoa.
Cacao?
Yeah.
Cacao.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a studio audience chirping in.
I can get that a little bit, which would be the same type of
Yeah,
a thing,
that dry
like a bitter
bitterness.
chocolate. Yeah. Bitter
When you get
cocoa.
a darker chocolate, you get usually you get bitterness because there's not the milk, like milk chocolate, where it's not as sweet. and there's
Right,
more
right.
bitterness
How do you
to
think
it.
this would be with like a rum?
It might be one of those things where they balance each other out. Where
Good.
where the bitterness of this with the sweetness of the rum, they may balance each other out.
Yeah.
Or it could be one where they fight each other. It depends. I think it's going to depend more on the rum.
Yeah. This actually, I mean, the pairing is not all that bad. And we'll get to that here, but we're not quite there at this point. I'll say this about this cigar is that this is what we said, like $8 call it.
Steel.
I think this is a well-constructed cigar. When I say that sometimes it's a little flaky ash, that's going to happen on a lot of cigars. But I do enjoy something that's going to hold the ash a little bit better than this cigar. But the construction when it comes to the draw, for me, that is huge. For whatever reason, and it might be because we're in, and please don't take this the wrong way, because I know that we strive at Tinder Box Easton.
Are you trying to get political?
Not yet. No, I was going to say, like, I've found more recently, with it being as humid as it is outside in Midwest Ohio, that a lot of the cigars, and partially it's my fault because I don't typically always just take it out of the humidor, whether it be here at my house or it's at the shop. It's something I throw in my case or something like that, which is just like a 3 or 4 finger case. And I've got it in my car, and I've got it for a day or two for the weekend or whatever. And I've got it with me outside, and you're looking at humidity that's going to be way higher than 70% and a lot hotter out. But I've been dealing with a few more plugged or not quite plugged, but just tougher draw cigars. So smoking this, having not an airy draw, but just a nice, easy, effortless draw, it's almost like I give it more points in my mind that I enjoy this cigar. And I smoked one already this week, and it was, like I said, last night. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed it because it was just really easy to smoke. It's good flavor, and it delivers. There's a lot of smoke. If you look on the feed right now over at Nate, it's got a lot of smoke coming out just with an easy draw. I think that's overlooked a lot. And I know everyone's different. Some people like a little bit firmer draw and may even smoke this and think that this is too airy and it's not constructed well. And that is their opinion, but I like it.
See, I like a little bit more airiness to mine. Almost.
Yeah, effortless.
Yeah, I like the effortless. But why do you like something that's a little bit more like tougher to draw? Like almost like a rib that's a little bit more pull, something like that? Just a little bit more effort, or can you get more flavors if it's a little tighter?
I would guess if it was a little bit of a tighter draw, it's kind of, it may not burn as fast, so the cigar may not get as hot at the foot of it, so you may not get as much heat. Almost like comparing a slow smoking a cigar versus hot boxing a cigar, you're not going to get as much heat on the palate.
Does the cut matter at all, or no?
It can. So you have your straight cut, V cut, the punch cut. A lot of times with a punch cut, you got just that small hole punching through the cap, and it kind of condenses the smoke through that smaller area, and you don't get as much surface area to pull through. So it can tough up a draw a little bit. So, if you have a cigar that typically, if you typically smoke a cigar and that cigar pulls too easy, you may think about doing a punch cut just to firm it up a little bit, to where you're just not burning right through the middle.
Do you guys ever switch up your cuts, or you guys always do the same one?
I do.
You do a V cut every now and then?
Mm-hmm. Did one Monday.
Every once in a while, I'll switch it up, but no, I always carry the same straight cutter with me. So I'm used to a straight cut. I rarely come across what I would consider a premium cigar that's going to be too easy of a draw. And if it is, that means it's already tunneled, and it's just a construction issue. Not judging that cigar or that blend,
cigar.
Not judging that manufacturer. I mean, if I keep smoking, like if it was this cigar or any particular cigar, and I had 3 or 4 in a period of time out of 10 that are doing it, I probably won't go back to it. If it happens, it happens, because it's going to happen on anything.
The cigar that I smoked Friday, I would say 4 out of the last 5 that I smoked were too light of a draw. The cigar was spongy and just did not want to burn well.
Yeah,
I kept giving that cigar a chance because it's got a good flavor to it, and it was a cigar that had gotten very, very high ratings in the past, and so I wanted to give it.
What cigar was it?
Encore.
Yeah,
which former #1 cigar of the year.
Yeah.
So how do they judge? How many people actually judge that cigar, like in Cigar Aficionado, when they actually have the ratings?
It's a good question. There's
and how many do you think they actually smoke of that? Because if you just get a bad one, that could be like a bad.
Well, so typically when when they do the tastings for their top 25, that's not the first time that year that they've smoked that cigar. So there's a reason why they're only reviewing so many cigars for any publication when they're doing their best of. It's because those are the top rated cigars that they've smoked for that year. And then when they smoke them again to do the ratings for their list, they typically take the bands off of them. Someone takes the bands
That's
off
great.
of them.
That's
So
what
that
you-
way they
that's what we
don't
should
know
do.
what they're smoking and they're judging it blind. And there's usually a couple of them, two of the higher ups that are the ones doing the tasting.
If you were so if you're like cleansing your palate with a bourbon, yeah, never. Okay. Would you
No,
ever
I don't
cleanse
see
your
it,
palate with this to change it? So hey, I'm switching from one cigar to another.
Yeah, you can.
Are you supposed to go low to high, high to low,
What do you mean?
like strength wise,
Or
or is it just kinda how many you can handle?
There's differing schools of thought there. I mean, there are some people that start the day, you know, typically like not just necessarily rating it, but like start the day with mild stuff and then they end it, you know, it gets fuller and fuller. I know other people that will enjoy a milder cigar at the end of the day, myself included. There are a lot of times I like to do that.
It'd be tough to do for me personally. It'd be tough to do.
We're gonna do that, right? You know, we're gonna go from this one to a Monte Cristo white series, which they consider Monte Cristo considers a medium, but I'm gonna go on the lighter side of medium.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah, I like going that way.
As far as the rating system, I don't know how. So the major one like Cigar Aficionado, but you know, Cigar Snob, Cigars and Spirits, you know, all these different magazines. I don't know exactly what the structure is. That'd be a good thing
How they
because
actually do it.
they usually will say, I've seen it in many publications before they get into the ratings. They'll say this many reviewers and you know this many cigars, blah blah blah, and it is a blind taste testing, which is funny because if you're educated on cigars, you know there's some, you know, especially when it comes to like a box press or something like that, it narrows it down, or a torpedo that you're familiar with without the band on. But I don't know how they do it, but I would say I would go completely random. And there are ways, whether you know you use some more traditional ones like almonds or chocolates or something like that, as far as like palate cleansers.
Mhm.
Like espresso or like beans or something like that.
No,
or
like
chocolate
you know, like a
covered
little
espresso?
dark chocolate bar,
Oh,
Yeah.
do you have any?
or
I don't have any. No.
so a lot of times I see them either use
You're in a garage.
the
calm
dark
down.
chocolate or even or even, and I have to say this the full name, otherwise people think I'm saying something else. Coca-Cola. I can't just say Coke because they'll think I'm saying something else.
No, you don't want to snort Coke while testing cigars.
Correct.
Although when we were down in Miami, that's the other story. We used
Take a bump.
citric acid.
Oh, I thought you were going
Yeah,
someplace
citric acid.
completely
We did
different with
citric
that.
acid. As I'm looking down and I'm doing this on the feed.
When we were in Miami, we did something.
Yeah, I've told the story before. You know, I was with Eric Espinosa and Hector Alfonso, and it was literally like they throw this bag out on the table and like, hey, between the cigars, just take a bump. And Brian and I obviously are looking at him like everyone else looks at him, and we're like, I'm sorry. And they just kind of like chuckle a little bit, like, no, just put it in your mouth. It's citric acid. Looks like cocaine.
Oh, that's what they told. That's great. That's funny.
Yeah, and then the next morning I was going to take it to when we're going to Casa Fernandez for doing the blending on our other cigar. And we were going to bring it, and Brian's like, we're standing outside waiting for an Uber, and Brian's like, hey, go ahead and don't bring it because I don't want them to know that we were with, you know, another company last night. It's like, you know, dating. And so I go back in the Sofitel at the airport in Miami, which is completely Miami, like South Beach, like everything.
I love Miami. man.
I
This
enjoyed
is
the
really-
short time I was there.
Love Miami.
But I just went inside. I had this, and I didn't even have like a Ziploc bag. It was literally like a cellophane thing for a bundle of cigars with a rubber band around it.
this is literally how drugs are transported.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
So I went inside the lobby, and the only trash
Someone
can
said
I
like
could,
a dime bag. Yeah.
trash can I could find was actually between the two elevators, and it was almost full. So I just kind of set it on top of the.
Smart.
Someone snorted that shit
Oh,
later.
yeah. Welcome to Miami.
and was very disappointed.
I've never done cocaine, so I can't really. And on a side note, Jerry says that club soda is a great way to cleanse your palate.
Is that code?
For club soda.
Jerry, like the post if you're talking about cocaine.
Do these guys? So when you say Miami cigar, do they have a cigar lounge in Miami?
I don't know, Jerry. I don't know. He's the rep, so Jerry is out there listening. I don't believe so, but I mean they are based out of there.
Okay, because I'm assuming Miami, Florida, the whole thing is a pretty big cigar culture.
Yeah.
It very much is, and most of these companies have offices in the area.
And they have
I
great, they have
was-
great coffee there too, right?
Yeah.
I was planning on taking a vacation to Miami. Would have been this week.
Yeah.
You should go.
Yeah, something else came up.
What?
Cheap flights.
No, I'd like to go back down there. It's something down there, you know, being with these guys that are doing this. It's always you get more out of the experience. I feel like when you're with the people that are either making the
Oh, God,
cigars
yeah.
or repping the cigars or
Yeah,
just
with
even in the
with
shops.
the bourbon too, if they give you the tour and they give you the story.
Same thing with the
it.
bourbons. You're absolutely right. So you go down to the distilleries, you take the tour, you sit there, everything. It's absolutely just, it adds to it. I feel like it adds to the experience, not only when you're there, but also every time you crack a bottle, light up a cigar. And sometimes I feel like I lose it. And it's kind of like, now that I'm in the business, it's kind of like when I would go to a national convention or meeting for the franchise system I was with before. And even after, say like 8 years or something like that, I'd go down to wherever it was. I think the last one was like Hilton Head. And not only was it beautiful and we had fun, but you meet other people in the industry that are doing a lot of the same things you're doing, whether it be in the same position you're in or above or below you.
It's
or
good to get outside of your
it's
bubble
just-
and talk to other people that are in your industry.
Yeah, there's a stimulation there that really kind of feeds the creativity again. It gets you out of the rut and everything like that. So for me, it's from a more, I think, professional side, but it's also still that curiosity and just it kind of sparks the hobby again, more than just like, oh, what am I going to drink? I'm bored going into the liquor store, bored going into the cigar shop, or if you order online, I just don't know what. I'm just smoking to smoke. I'm smoking to take an hour or two, away from everything. That's Liz with a bunch of bags of poop.
Well, you gotta flush that, Steve. I don't know what to tell you. You just gotta.
My doctor says if I have to go, I have to go, and you should probably wash your hands.
Nails look good. You're
Wow.
welcome.
It's a good thing she has on a mic. Is she coming back?
There's one
I
right
was going to say,
there.
is she coming back? All right, boys. Let's get back to the whiskey. We've been sipping on it. You guys have had your second glass going right now. Once again, we're drinking the Hirsch Small Batch Reserve. Say select on that.
Yeah, right. Selected.
Selected. You said it's a blend of 4 to 6
So
year.
yeah, they just on the back, the last sentence they have there is this whiskey, or we proudly present this whiskey at between 4 and 6 years old. And it's a small batch, so they're probably mixing some barrels in between there.
All right, so Spencer,
Yes, sir.
you're not the more regular. You've been on the show. What do we say? 6?
This
7.
is 10 to 12 right here.
Yeah, Baker's dozen.
Yeah.
Let's do out of 10 the whiskey that you brought. Which thank you very much for bringing
Sure, of
the
course.
bottle. I mean,
Thank you for
it's
asking.
always. It's fun when you come on because, like Nate was saying, it's like he always has something that we can't get in Ohio.
Good.
And it's from your travels, it's from your connections and friends and everyone else. I know that you have a wide variety of bourbons and whiskeys, but what I like about your collection, when we talk about it, what you have, you're not necessarily a collector of just getting things that people want. You are just like, I want to have a variety. And all the bottles you sent me were not cracked yet, if I'm
Yeah,
not
of course. I
mistaken.
mean, they're all different price points.
Yeah.
And things like that as well.
But this one, it's not like, like one time you brought on the Pogue,
Oh yeah.
and that's you're $100, give or take. It was like 120 or whatever it
Something
was.
like that,
It was something silly that you brought that on, and then you bring this on, and we're at a lower price point. But it's always nice to just try something different. And I encourage everyone out there to continue to try different things, because I'm tired of just the ones that everyone is seeking out, and then you drink it and you're disappointed. And you're like, am I doing something wrong if I don't like what everyone's really seeking out? But I think a lot of the seeking out part is because it's harder to find, in my opinion.
Seeking out because it's hard to find. Seeking out, it's almost like a badge of honor that you found it, or you're trying to show off to somebody that, hey, I got
Right,
this
right.
bourbon. But like me and you guys and the majority of my friends who are in this, they all like to share it.
Exactly.
So I don't view mine as a collection. I definitely don't view it as a collection. I view it as these are things that I want to share with friends, and I enjoy just trying stuff that's different. So that's why I happen to bring this. Are you looking for a score and stuff like that on this?
Yeah.
one?
So out of 10, you're gonna rate the 10 being the best, the whiskey, then the Nestor Miranda Special Selection,
Okay.
and then the pairing. So 3 different ratings out of 10, and go.
Out of 10, I'll go on the whiskey. I'll go a 7. I don't drink whiskey every day, but I would say this is a everyday drinker. So for something that's
Yeah.
86 proof, this is something easy. It's consistent. It will go well with any cigar that you have. It'll go with any meal that you have. If you want to pop an ice cube, if you want to make a Manhattan, if you just want to bring it by yourself, it's not going to blow your socks up. I definitely say it's worth a try. And for something this price point, where I know I don't take price point into consideration, but I know you do, see, but I feel like this is properly priced. I feel like if this is on the shelf and you just want something just to have, between 25 and $50, $40, whatever it is, it's not bad. So I'd go a 7. On the cigar, it was starting off a lot lower than where it is right now. So to be fair to
it builds nicely, doesn't it?
Yes, it builds nicely. And I was when I first saw it, I thought it was actually gorgeous, and I still think it's a beautifully constructed cigar. And the wrapper and the logo and everything like that, I think is just stunning. Originally, I was going to go like a 5, just because I got nothing out of it and wasn't burning consistently.
You had a bad
but as
day.
I have through it, day was fine.
All right.
But I'll go 7.
I did notice at the beginning yours was burning a little unevenly.
Yeah, but now I lit a little differently, and I'd say this is more of a 7.5. I think together they're an 8. I think that the bourbon can go with anything. I'm not sure if the cigar can go with everything. Cigar has
That's
a little
fair.
bit more depth than I thought. I do get some of that bitterness with it.
Yeah.
But combined, maybe it's because it's a lighter bourbon, that the cigar really stands out more than the bourbon.
I'm with you
So
on
together, I'll do an 8.
Okay. Nate, how about you?
So I didn't even talk about the whiskey earlier.
Well, now's your chance.
We got time, bro.
Or do I do the cigar first?
Whiskey.
Okay. No,
I
I
mean,
don't
you
know
threw
which
it
one.
out there.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give the whiskey 7.5. I did enjoy it. I got some kind of a bright citrus note and like a dried fruit note out of it. But the other thing that really impressed me was the viscosity. Like, it's very oily. It's not thick.
That's a good
but
call, my friend. That's
it's
a good
not
call.
like it's not thick, but the texture on the palate is very oily. It just coats and it sits there. You swirl it around your glass, and it's the legs on it just last and last and last. And so I was really surprised because it tastes lighter than just the flavor is lighter than what the oil in the glass looks like.
Be interesting to try one that's like maybe like aged a little longer, like a 14-year or something like that, just to see how this ages. Longer term.
I do get kind of a bright, sharp mint on the back, and then some heat. So, and the way it hits on the back on the finish, that's what made me realize, it is a younger whiskey because
6 years though.
I still think for a lot of things that is on the younger side. I mean, it's not a 2 years or some of the stuff that we've had before.
It's no Western Reserve.
but no, I mean, when I first tasted it, I hadn't even looked at the back of the label, so I didn't know how old it was.
Yeah.
But when I took my first sip, just that brightness in the back of it, it made me think it was on the younger side.
Yeah.
I think that flavor and that characteristic was actually lessened because it's a high rye mash bill. I think if it had been more corn, then it would have even tasted younger.
Yeah, for sure.
So doing a 4 to 6 year, but having that high rye mash bill, I think that's a good mix.
And
so
you give it a 7.5.
7.5 on the whiskey.
All right.
Would you know it's a rye without being told it's a rye?
It's not a rye, but a high rye.
What's the difference?
Well, it's
so
not
it's
considered a
technically
rye
a
whiskey.
bourbon, which means it's at least 51% corn. If it was a rye, it'd have to be at least 51% rye.
So it's just high rye. So 26% is just
high
considered
rye bourbon. Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
so most bourbons, the rye content's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15%.
So that's why it's
And
considered
this
high
is a
rye.
26, so
Got it.
that's considered a high rye.
Mash bill.
Yeah, high rye bourbon.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, I wouldn't be able to tell that this was a high rye just based on the flavor, because I don't get as much spice or as much floral notes as I would expect from a rye. And even a high rye mash bill like this, I was thinking one of the rabbit holes is a high rye.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it tastes completely different than what this one does.
Yeah.
So
All right, so 7.5.
cigar, I give it an 8.
Cigar an 8.
I give the cigar an 8 because I really enjoy the cigar. It's always got a great flavor.
Yeah.
It's consistent, and it's a great price point. I mean, this is something that, would be, a weekly cigar, daily cigar type smoke at that price point. Not if you're smoking 5 of them, unless you got the money to. But no, it's a really enjoyable cigar that, we both tend to
You
go
like
back
this
to it.
cigar walking in the door, though, correct?
Coming in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when when the Tinderbox first got it in,
It's tough. The reason
smoked
I
it.
asked that, Spencer, is because like this is your first time,
Mhm.
and Nate and I. But I mean, Nate, he likes this cigar, and I feel like sometimes you were asking about judging, like how the publications.
He's
do it
already
all
got
the
a
time.
notion going into
I feel
it.
like you walk in here like this is a 7 and 9 in your
He-
rating, regardless.
He's happy when he sees it.
Yeah, and so I mean, and I'm not taking anything away. I mean, I'm just saying like, somebody's maybe putting more credibility behind your rating that you.
How many of
have
these do you
that.
think you had?
I haven't kept track.
More than 5?
Yeah,
Yes.
dozens. I'd say dozens probably for him.
Yeah,
From my knowledge, yeah.
I've had a few. Again, like if it's a Saturday, and I'm there open to close on Saturday.
Yeah.
So if I'm not wearing a face mask, I'm probably smoking 5 cigars on a Saturday.
Yeah.
This is one that's going to make it in that rotation. Hell, I might smoke 2 of them back to back.
So that would be something that, to that point. Sorry to kind of go off on tangents here, but I mean, Spencer was talking about another idea. We did a blind taste testing recently.
I really like that podcast.
Yeah, you liked how wrong Nate and I were.
You
expected it.
It was still a lot of fun.
It had nothing to do with how wrong you were. I don't understand why you guys decided to be like, all right, this one's Makers, this one's this. I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if you would have said, all right, which ones you like on and why, and then you would have been like, all right, this one, how much would I pay for this one, which we discussed a little earlier.
So to that point, you had another great idea. We're going to do it in the future. I'm not going to give it right now, but with the whiskeys, a different way to do a blind taste testing. But I think what we want to do going forward is depending on maybe even get like Nate and Dustin again, because I know a little bit more what they enjoy. Get 3 cigars and do one of the blind taste testings where
all different price points and everything.
Different price points, but just different cigars that maybe I think that they like.
Yeah.
And we'll get everyone's got their own ashtray, and you get the 3, and we're gonna go through that a different way.
I like that.
Take the bands off.
Take the bands off of it, and I'll know, or someone else. I'll get someone to randomize them. But I had to pick them. You know what I mean? Like Dustin, and we all knew what they were.
Or you could have someone random pick them.
Whatever. Yeah. But I might actually just not even have the labels on the table, just completely blind, and just get the object, and then at the end I'll reveal what they are.
Yeah,
I think it will be a good sense as to what your palate actually really likes and what you actually like about cigars.
I've done some blind cigar taste testings.
So what do you think about the pairing?
I give the pairing an 8.
8.
2 8s.
Because
2 8s on the pairing.
No, just the that kind of dry fruit that I get from the whiskey, paired with some of the bitter notes that you were talking about, like the dark cocoa notes of the cigar. I think they actually go well together. I think the cigar helps hide some of that young flavor that I was getting from the whiskey.
He's only young though, ain't he?
I know. In 4-6, I would not expect young, but I get what he's saying. So
how old's like a Buffalo Trace?
6 to 8. 6 to 8.
Okay.
All right. So for the Hirsch Small Batch Reserve Selected Straight Bourbon Whiskey, I'm confused a little bit as I'm looking closer at the bottle based on what we read online. I know that we talked about the front. It says proudly bottled by Myers Distilled Products in Silverton, Ohio, which used to be called Hirsch, I believe, because I looked at an old label online. But we were told it was sourced by MGP.
Yes, sir.
It says distilled in Kentucky, bottled exclusively for Anchor Distillery or Distilling Company.
So Anchor owns Michner's.
Right.
So I think that's where they have kind of at least the brand behind them.
Distilled in Kentucky, though?
I don't think so. I think it's,
But that's what I'm saying. It says it on the bottle. So I'm curious if some of our information is inaccurate. I know we're late in the part 1 of podcast, but yeah. So I'm going to give this bottle a 7. I think it's good for what it is. And that's, I know I kind of, as we've been doing this podcast longer, we've been doing these ratings longer, I kind of, that's where I fall into it. Price point and everything else. I think they accomplished what they were trying to do with this bottle. I added a little splash of water. And I think that actually does it for me. You want to put a little bit in there.
It opens it up a little bit.
Well, it takes away, in my opinion, it takes away that when we were talking about that apple, I thought that was too strong. I think that might be where, when I'm listening to you guys to talk about this, is I think that might be that young. It's almost like a tart. It's this
Cherry.
It's not. No, I think that it brings out a little bit more of that warmth and everything. It takes away a little bit more, a little bit of that tart
harshness.
Yeah, like it mellows it just enough if you put this little drop of water in there. But I still, give it a 7. I think it's a good bottle. I think it's worth trying. I love the branding, especially. I'm not going to get political.
Jeez, drink.
No, but it's.
You want to tell the gang what's actually happening with the non-political comment here?
Spencer said he's been listening to the last several podcasts, and
the last 147 of them.
Yeah, we've done 130, including tonight. But
I'm on the after hours.
More recently, I apparently say I'm not going to get political, or I don't want to get political, and then I do, and I'm the one that brings it up. But this says on the back label, crafted in the United States of America. On the front, I think it says it's somewhere. Yeah,
made in China, I think.
Crafted in the USA. So I like that, though. I think this is it's nice to see all that, because it is, even though it's all over the United States with the MGP or distilled in Kentucky now, bottled in Ohio. It's a California brand. I mean, you're representing some major parts of the United States. I can appreciate that. Cigar, I like this cigar. I wouldn't say I love it. I think it builds nicely. I would give this cigar, including the price point, I'd give this cigar an 8.5.
I don't think you can get a better cigar for $8.
That's what I'm saying. If this cigar was 12 or 13 or 14, which I know, I mean, that's percentage-wise a big leap over 8 or so.
I feel like if you see $8, it's almost like
what are you expecting anymore, right?
Well, if you see $8, you're almost like not ashamed to buy it, but it just seems like a lower-end cigar, and I don't think this one is.
No, I agree. I think this smokes really well. I love that it's coming out of the My Father factory. It's all Nicaraguan tobacco. I enjoy this cigar. I've said its praises quite a bit, and I think that it holds its own, certainly over other price comparison cigars, and it does build, which is nice.
Part of me wishes we had some of the original Plasencia blends and do those side by side.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And it was coming out of Honduras, and I don't know the blend that it was, but it wasn't the exact same. Maybe it was. Maybe it was all Nicaraguan, but it was Plasencia tobacco instead of My Father doing it. Anyways, pairing, I'd give the pairing. I'd give the pairing a 7.5. It's good, but I don't think these two actually contrast really, really well. I also don't think they complement really well. But it's not like it ruined my evening. Like chances are, like if we were out or just hanging out, not doing a podcast, we're hanging out at my place or anyone else or at a bar, smoking the Nestor Miranda Special Selection, and the first drink we had was the Hirsch. I'd be, not upset about it. But, if Spencer comes over and says, hey, did you want to do another round of that? They're asking at the bar. Let's do something different.
Don't disagree, my friend.
Yeah, I do something different with the cigar. Or, you got Old Forester right there. I think, vice versa, same thing. You know what I mean?
Same proof.
And Jerry says, from Miami Cigar Company, he's chiming in. He says it was a totally different blend.
Yeah, we knew that. We mentioned
just a revitalizing the brand. Other than that, like I said, I think these are both worth trying. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily to the viewers. I wouldn't recommend doing them together as much personally. So with that, I mean, that's part 1.
Cool.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. I want to thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton, for supplying the Nestor Miranda Special Selection. I want to thank Jerry for tuning in tonight on the feed, and I encourage everyone to share if you're enjoying it. If you don't have the time to tune in live on Wednesdays, but you think someone else can, or if you want to listen afterwards or watch afterwards on Facebook, YouTube, those are both live, but then they stay on there. Also, I know, Spencer, you listen to the audio on iTunes.
I do.
Yeah, it's also on Spotify, iHeartRadio.
On 2-speed.
I sound like the Chipmunks.
the oldest. The oldest and wisest chipmunk.
Not the wisest. Just the oldest and smoking. Anyways,
most experienced.
I want to thank Tinder Box, also Altadis USA. We're going to be lighting up the Monte Cristo White Series Rothschild size, which I'm looking forward to. Probably have a little bit more of the Hirsch, maybe something else along with that. But Altadis USA, Josh Bentley, Paul Waller, the guys that really pushed that sponsorship from the very beginning. We look forward to continuing to work with you guys as we hopefully continue to expand and get through 2020. Also, Cigar Company. I've got a gold, silver, a couple different sizes. I know.
Is there a deal on these?
There's not a deal. I want everyone to tune in. And we were waiting on a shipment to do our Tinder Box at Easton has a deal going, but it'll go live tomorrow. It's delayed by a day, unfortunately. But I will give a little bit of a hint. It's going to be 5 cigars at a great deal, and all the cigars are going to be made by AJ Fernandez.
Ooh,
So,
nice.
a little bit of a scattered AJ Fernandez pack, but it'll be a good deal. And we just wanted to make sure that we were expecting the shipment for one of those cigars today, and it was going to come in tomorrow. So we're pushing it off, but it's going to be great. So also patreon.com. I do want to mention that one more time. Patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. The t-shirts are now available. If you guys get on there, and I need to get on there and set up a tier, but I'm gonna put it at, if you are a sponsor for, what do you think, 3, 4, 5 months at $5, you get a t-shirt. What do you guys think?
What if you've been a member for 10 months?
You got a t-shirt.
You already got one. Because remember, up until last week, anyone who had already been a patron got a shirt.
I'll put 2 tiers up there. If you're going to do $5 a month, we'll keep it simple. $5 a month, and you do it for 6 months, right? You're going to get a t-shirt. If you $10 a month, get in 3.
All right.
You do $20, I'll send you a t-shirt.
There you go.
I like it, man.
Yeah. So there's your deal. If you want to sign up for $20, and you can change it anytime.
They're
you can change it
comfortable
anytime.
shirts for the record.
Yeah, so it's a tri-blend. It is
Great
nice. It's absolutely nice.
Great
So,
shirt.
and there's more coming. So thank you guys very much. Tune in for part 2. If you guys are listening live on the feed, just stay tuned, take a break, walk it off, hit the head, whatever. If you guys are listening to the audio, check out part 2. Guys, cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Awkward cheers, and have a good week. And there's the guitar.
Adding water to it brought out more spice.
It definitely did, man. Adding water helps.
I think it's better.
You're not wrong.
I think
It
it's
did.
better.
It brought out some more flavor.
Yeah, but it takes away
Kylie
that
asked-
apple tartness.
Yeah,
I
Kylie
think
asked,
any
"What can I
apple.
get
You
for
get an apple?
$75?"
You know what they said
Steve
on
will
this?
autograph
They said
your T-shirt,
eucalyptus.
Kylie.
Eucalyptus.
Yeah. So that's where he was saying mint. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
I thought about that. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't want to use that term.
Kylie, DM drop. What is it? Slip into my
You don't want
DMs.
to say DM. Slide.
Slide. There you go.
That's
Yeah.
a man who doesn't get slid into.
Stumble into my DMs. And what can I get for $75? I can't say on the air.
three t-shirts.
I said you would autograph her T-shirt.
That's a good deal.
There's a
Dude.
good go.
Here's an idea. Seriously.
OnlyFans.
No. Such a better idea than what I had. The idea is that you guys actually have a signature and you actually print it on one of the shirts, like underneath the logo or something like that.
Signature.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sign them, but just have your on the next
Yeah,
badge.
that'd be cool.
You do your signature and like whoever else.
My
wants
signature.
your signature and
That's not
Brian's
good.
signature.
Yeah.
And if obviously Nate wants to have it, or Dustin, somebody like that.
Nate has to hand sign every shirt.
Okay.
I messed up again. Damn it.
Where did all
Have-
that?
have
where
you
did all
ever
that food
been-
come from?
Have you ever been
all right,
asked?
so here's the
Oh,
thing
that's
with
just from inside the house.
it's the bedroom. Yeah. No, it's out back.
Kylie, Jesus. God, I will barrel into your DM.
Yeah. No, we got lazy. And he's actually been having some digestive issues. So you can't really scoop it up right when
You
it.
just feed that dog Chipotle.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of
If
hot
I'm having Chipotle, he's having
A lot
Chipotle.
of hot salsa.
He doesn't
Buy-
like cheese, but he
buy-
loves the
Buy one, get one half off.
the content. Yeah.
No, so we wanted to clean it up so that when they do the work, they can go around the side of the house and not have to deal with it.
You put the stones overneath it.
Yeah, underneath it. Sure. All right. So if anyone is of anyone listening right now, if you have any questions, topics, like we said, Q&A type stuff, I have some on that Facebook post. I've seen some of these scrolling through. Yeah, if you want to hit the restroom, we'll keep it going live here. Yeah, got it. You stumbling into DMs.
He's gonna electric slide into some DMs. Steve, you ever been asked for your autograph?
No, I've been asked to be in pictures.
Okay.
Oh, I've signed a BS box before, yes.
Okay.
But other than that, mainly just just been in pictures. Mostly for like either at the cigar events.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool. Like Todd Boss is watching, but when we first started doing the Smoking 10 events and everything like that, it was like probably year 3 or whatever it was that we had more people coming in. And certainly it was more like a flattering thing, and I didn't really get it because it was like I'm not one of those people that are coming in that are up on stage. I'm just on stage because I'm actually
you're the MC
working the event. So it was flattering, and really cool to see some people that would want to have a picture with me. So it was neat. It was neat. I had one person so far, Nick Ulrich, who came into the shop about a year or two ago. And he was just in recently, actually, but he listened to the podcast, and he came in, and it was when Jake and I were doing this together, and I was working that day, and he came in and he introduced himself and everything like that. And he's like, "Hey, before I go, you mind if I get a picture with you?" That was probably, I don't want to say cooler or like more flattering, but it was just kind of like, that's really cool because this is so new at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. How about you?
I have. So it was actually when I was a senior in high school. Myself and a couple of my classmates were asked to speak to some of the elementary school students as part of the DARE program.
Yeah.
And so we went over there, I think 3 days in a week, and we're talking to some of the students and answering a bunch of questions and stuff related to the DARE program. And the last day that we did it, they all asked for our autographs, like on their paperwork and stuff. And then
you had to sign off on their actual, like, that they were there, or they were asking for autographs?
They were asking for autographs. And
those are two different things.
Yeah. And there was a photographer there from a local paper, and they were doing pictures. Yeah. And I actually have a laminated copy. They actually put my picture autographing a student's notebook.
That's cool.
As the picture for that article.
Yeah. You ever been on the news?
I've been
for
on
good things, not the bad ones that we talked about.
I've been on the news, but not specifically mentioned on the news. It was when I played football, and one of the local stations does football Friday night.
Sure.
And one of the plays that, let's just say, I was a part of a little bit.
Glory days, man.
Yeah. That was one of the highlights that was shown during Friday Night Football.
Check
it.
I've been on the news a handful of times, being interviewed for when I was in the moving industry, and then also,
my wife's been on TV more than I have.
Yeah,
because my wife was in the OSU marching band for 3 years. Tabittle, the best damn band in the land.
Yeah, what are they doing for that this year?
Oh, we have no idea. I have no idea yet. But she was in the marching band for 3 years, and her first year in the band was when Ohio State won the 02 national title, the game that was played in January of 03 against Miami. She was there for that game. That was awesome, man. That was her first year. So
what'd she play?
Trumpet.
Nice.
So she was at that bowl game when Ohio State won the national title. Then the next year when Ohio State won the Alamo Bowl. Then the next year when they won the Fiesta Bowl again. And also that year, she was in the inauguration parade, the presidential inauguration parade.
Bush?
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, that was
long. It seems like a lifetime ago, man, doesn't it?
Yeah, that would have been January of 05. Was so his second term So his second inauguration, she was part of the whole OSU marching band was there for that parade, and so she was there as well. So she's got her Letterman jacket, but then she's also got a marching band jacket that has her marching band patches on it, and she also has a scarf that is just for the inauguration parade.
Nice.
But then her Letterman jacket has a patch for that parade as well.
I like that, man.
And because Ohio State won the national title in 2002, the band members, so they won the Big Ten and the national title. The band members got Big Ten championship rings.
Really?
Yes.
She sell those for tattoos?
No.
Shut up.
No, when after we first started dating, she actually showed me that ring. I'm like, what the hell? She's got an OSU jersey with her name on it, on the back of it. So
I mean,
technically you could say she's more famous than me. So
Not technically, you just say it.
yeah, she is.
Are you guys ready to roll?
what do you guys? Are you guys still doing the Hirsch? Or are we doing something else here?
What do you want to do?
I mean, what are the?
You want to do Hirsch or some Old Forester? We still have
Little bit of that
we have a
infinity
little bit of
bottle.
that infinity bottle.
You want to try some of that Joseph Magnus is still up there?
You haven't had that.
You want Antique 107? You want some Mescal?
I have. I have not had that specific bottle.
There's some Glenfiddich 15.
Would you get the child size? What are we doing here? Jesus Christ.
Put a nipple on that.
What is that?
Actually, I took the plastic.
What does something like that cost?
$36.99.
Jesus Christ.
Because a fifth is
And that's birthday, huh?
no, a fifth of that is $18.99.
Great deal.
And Old Forester, when they do their handles, it's still glass.
Where do you keep that?
At home?
I mean, you can't put that on a bar.
Sure.
Yeah.
Stable bar can handle that weight. You just got to make sure that the structure's okay.
So
what kind of bar do you have?
I got a glass thing. Like
No.
It's got shelves.
No, I don't have one of those.
Says the cabinet guy.
Yeah. Cupboards, bro.
So a bottle like this is one of two places. It's either on my desk in the basement where I clean all my guns, or it's next to my recliner where I'm usually sitting drinking.
Cleaning your guns.
No, I don't drink and clean guns at the same time.
Did he not just say he's got it underneath the desk where he cleans his guns?
Yeah.
But I don't do them. No, on top of the desk. I just don't do both at the same time.
Cleans his guns, looks at him while he's drinking.
Or he drinks and then cleans his guns.
No,
Either way. Not at the same time, because you only have two hands, Spencer.
I'm not disagreeing. Not to get political, but it's
Not to get I don't want to get political, but you only have two hands.
It's still around, huh?
Jesus. All right, I'm going to pull up this post here, and we're going to get into part 2.
We're not doing the in a hat.
No hats.
No hats.
I wanted to get it ahead of time, and let's pull this up here.
Have you looked at the questions yet?
Yeah, I looked at some of them here, and then I also, which I love seeing this. I got to scroll down now because I love seeing the activity. So for those listening live, you know what? Let's get started. And I'll mention it.
It's on IG too, or just Facebook?
Just Facebook and YouTube.
Nice.
This won't stream to IG Live yet.
No, I mean I didn't know if the questions were on Instagram.
No, that's a good idea. I didn't do that. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
You are smarter
We
than
should
me.
do this on Switch. We should all play like a video game together.
There is Switch or Twitch or something like that where you can have multiple camera angles. We'll get into that. If you
I
want to,
thought you were going to post it on your TikTok page.
I don't have it.
Not now. All China has that.
All right. All right. Here we go.
Yeah. Until Microsoft gets all of it.
Silence. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast. This is episode 130, part 2. We reviewed in part 1, for those of you that have not listened to it, we've reviewed the Hirsch Small Batch Reserve and also the Nestor Miranda Special Selection, which is a re-release of that brand name from Miami Cigar Company. So check out part 1 if you haven't listened to it already, if you're tuning in or you scrub forward on the video. But if you are listening to the audio, go back and listen to part 1. We've got Spencer Lappin still in the garage. Welcome.
Thank you.
And he said he was on episode, I don't know, somewhere between like 6 and 12 at this point.
This is between 10 and 12.
Yeah.
To be fair.
You're still not getting like
That's still between
jacket. You got a
6 and
t-shirt.
I'd like more than one
You got a
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
Like SNL, they give you a jacket after
Well,
episode 5.
You'll get it the next t-shirt.
How many cigars have you gotten then because you've been on it? Exactly.
He's brought some good bottles though.
He has.
And that's Nate Hale for those who
Don't see that bus coming, do you?
It's a
who don't
Mack
recognize his
truck.
voice or his attitude. That's Nate Hale, everyone. Doesn't translate on audio or video.
Can you hear this?
Can you hear my face?
Can you hear the beat?
So I want to thank our sponsors for part 2, which is for part 1 as well. This is kind of the Beyond the BS, but patreon.com. This is a huge thing. Patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. I've got some great supporters. We have some great supporters, and some of them are on camera right now in the garage and then listening, which is fantastic. I'm wearing one of the t-shirts. We finally got it done. And we're going to get more different colors, different styles, some different designs. I'm looking forward to doing that, making them available. We talked about it at the end of part 1. So anyone that's been a Patreon sponsor, if you will, has a t-shirt waiting for them. So I have it. If you guys want to reach out, meet up in Columbus, I'll get it to you. Or if you need me to ship it out to you, I will do that. If you are going to be a new patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast supporter, I've got some extra t-shirts and I can always get more. This is a great shirt. It says, pour one more, light up another. We'll figure it out together. I can't read it.
You say that all the time.
Pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. I came up with the slogan. I can't say
You
it.
did. Which I think that should be the way you close each episode. Like when you go to cheers, then like that should be.
I was drinking when I came up with it, to be all in all fairness. But anyways, we do have those, and we're gonna do basically some tiers. I'm gonna set those up by the end of the week. $5 a month. We said 6 months you get a t-shirt. If you do $10 a month, 3 months you'll get a t-shirt, whether you're local or I can ship it to you. Or if you do, what did I say?
$20.
$20 right out of the gate, I will send you a t-shirt, or you can get one. So we appreciate everyone that has supported us. It gets this quality video out there as well as the audio out to everyone. I also want to thank Tinder Box at Easton, Altadis USA, and BS Cigar Company for all the support. Great cigars from all 3 of those. Tinder Box at Easton always hooks us up with the featured cigar. Altadis always hooks us up with the second cigar, which is the Monte Cristo White Series Rothschild, which I'm looking forward to smoking.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. You like it, Spencer. Nate's already lit it up. I'm not quite there yet.
This one's always at least a 9 for me.
Yeah. That is it's a well-recognized cigar for a reason.
Why is it called Rothschild?
Rothschild instead of Robusto, those are real close sizes. I don't know why Monte Cristo and Altadis chooses to do Rothschild for the White Series and Robusto for the Classic, because they are maybe a hair apart. I don't know the
Rothschild
dimensions.
mean something to them?
Rothschild is usually a little bit shorter.
I mean, does the
Typically.
name itself mean anything?
Oh, that's a good one. You're quizzing me. Nate, you know this?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. Nate's going to go into producer mode and check that out.
A lot of gifts in the questions.
I'm a gift guy.
You are a gift guy.
I think they're very appropriate.
The first 2 were pretty good. Yeah,
They are good. So for part 2, this is where we go beyond the BS. This is where we normally have a life topic. In fact, when we've had Spencer on, because he is, in my opinion, kind of off the cuff kind of a guy, you can talk about any topic that we do, but I do like having you on because we've done the what if, right?
Oh God, yeah, that was
a
good
great
one. That was a
episode
good
when
one.
Jake was on with us.
This is where if we're talking about like a crocodile on land or like a tiger.
Completely random questions.
Yeah.
And that was out of a hat. We've done the Q&A thing. This was more a, coming up with a topic here. We wanted to hear from, we have a Bourbon and BS community page on Facebook. And we're about 1,100 members right now. It's a great
That's
community.
great, man. 1,100.
It's
great,
fun.
man.
Yeah.
That's
I'd love to
awesome.
see it grow, because even when I have a few days off of it and I'm not liking or commenting on everything like that, which I want to do as the creator and the admin, I like going back and scrolling and seeing the interaction from other
It's
people
beyond
on it.
you now, man.
And that's
You
what the
built
goal
something
is,
that's
right?
Beyond you, right?
That's the goal. But it's also a tool for people that, I like seeing, there's 2 sides of this. I didn't like seeing, but I like seeing the reach out we had. And I want to, anyone listening tonight, Ryan Jones commented that his wife had a kind of a quick surgery.
Oh my
He was
goodness.
headed to the hospital. We don't know the details. Hopefully everything is okay, but
He's obviously in our thoughts and prayers. Right?
he is.
There's an allergic reaction.
Is an allergic reaction to some medicine that was done in the surgery, if I'm not mistaken. But he literally had sent me a message saying, have a good night, or have a good show tonight. And then I looked at the page and he commented on there and or
Yeah.
like posted saying, "Hey, I just want to reach out to the community." That's what is so great
I think
about
he said
this.
have a drink and smoke for me too, as well. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what a class act, man. That's great, man.
Yeah. So I like that. I like seeing that. And I hope that anyone listening that or has been a part of the Bourbon and BS podcast or Bourbon and BS community page can do that as well, feels comfortable with the community. But also, if you haven't joined it, please do. Let's kick this off. We're going to do, we said, what did I call this? It's
Grab bag?
let's hear from the audience.
I did find information on Rothschild.
All right, Rothschild, let's hear it.
So a typical Robusto is a 5x50 traditionally. A Rothschild traditionally is a 4.5 by 52.
And that's
So a little bit shorter, but a little bit thicker. And it's actually named after the Rothschild family that got started. At one point, they were one of the wealthiest families.
Yeah, I figured that.
And they were primarily into banking. So the kind of catchphrase behind it was a size you can bank on. Was kind of how they,
ooh.
Can
Good
we
marketing.
add Boiler Room to the Southie Marathon?
There's no Southie accents to that, but I love that.
Yeah.
all right.
Slides the keys across the
Yeah.
table.
And I'm liquid.
Just move in. Yeah, 6 months ago.
How much do I make? Fuck you.
All right, penny stocks. That's not on the feed.
Is he asking what penny stocks we recommend?
No, I'm going off of what you were
Oh,
saying.
I was gonna say I got a few.
Yeah, I got a few. I've been
Apple. Apple.
That's not a penny stock.
No, apples.
Apples. Yeah, I'm not going to give out any advice on that. I had one stock that I bought one share of just fucking around on that Robinhood app.
Yeah.
And it's obviously based on the vaccine.
What restaurant did you invest
No.
in?
I spent $39 on a
Does it start
stock.
with Hydro?
I spent $39 on a stock, and right now it's at about 180. And it was 3 months. I wish I would have bought more. Clearly.
I hope that it works out for you, buddy.
Yeah. And for the general public as well, because they are getting to the point for a good vaccine.
I'm asking for a friend. What's it called?
It's you don't want to buy it now.
It's too expensive
Before
now.
it splits.
Yeah.
All right, see what we got here.
All right. Let's start easy. Let's start with an easy one. This is not going to frame the conversation. I don't want to say. Maybe I'll save this
I like
one.
how you look directly into the camera when you have something serious to say.
Yeah, that's
Let's keep it. Let's talk sports.
that's radio.
Okay.
Do you think college and pro football will actually happen this fall?
Nate
Not
Dogg,
to get
Nate Dogg,
political,
Nate
but
I think
Okay,
they'll.
Tom.
I think they will. I don't think you'll have fans.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, both. Well, I mean, both sides stand to lose. I mean, even if they play and don't have any fans,
Yeah.
both sides are still going to lose a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
If they don't play, they're going to lose even more money. But then also, when it comes to the college game,
You think that's what it's about, though? Is money?
I don't think that's the only factor. But when you have,
No, I mean, when you're looking at this,
but
I mean,
well, think about it. Like, not every university out there. Let's think about the college game. Not every university out there is the size or have the endowment that Ohio State does. So there are some of these schools that bank on their sports teams bringing in money for the university.
Sure. And to support the other sports.
So like when Ohio State plays some small,
all right.
when Ohio State football plays some small school like Miami of Ohio or Akron or something like that,
Hey,
like,
Rowdy.
they are paying that school typically like $1 million or more for that team to travel and play them. So it's a big moneymaker for these universities, and that money goes towards other things outside of sports.
So it's a huge distraction, obviously, for all of us, in my opinion, right? So
Yeah,
so
it's great.
college football, the whole phenomenon of college football, the fact that everything you just described, right, is that a great university is bringing in ridiculous amounts of money and supplying, if you will, based on what you're saying, for a college like Miami, or even smaller than that. Not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, even like it's still shocking to me as I've gotten older and looked back at this, and I'm like, I do enjoy college Saturday football.
Me too, Steve.
You can't say that.
I can't say me too.
No, it's
Hashtag?
no.
No.
That makes it.
I can't say hashtag.
All right,
Unbelievable.
pound sign. No, but I
You
find
can't say.
I
It's been
find
fun,
it's
guys.
going to be real interesting. I hope our editor is ahead of the game here. No, I find it very interesting though that this is such a big thing, but it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think that yes, it's ridiculous the amount of money that this brings in for a university. I mean that just shows the greed or just that nature of what we're dealing with. You have kids going undecided to school, which I know this is kind of an offshoot from the question, but it's like you have these kids that are going undecided to school and they come out with $100,000 in debt. I mean, that's what they're signing up for right now. And this is fueled by not only, so you talk about sports, but think about doing this remote thing, room and board. Like all those dorms and all the meal plans and all this shit, that's part of the big business that is universities and colleges that are not being fueled right now. So it's not just
No.
sports.
They're making you go to school, but you have to take your classes online.
I don't think everyone's doing that.
The majority of schools.
You're going to the dorms.
You're going to the dorms.
That makes
and
no sense.
I'm not the guy who's making the rules.
You
here.
should be though.
But so OSU just, and we're going off the sports side for a second here.
I think it's all. I think it's
raised
all
their tuition
included.
5 to 7%, depending on which. They raised their tuition on
which
a
is
year,
normal, right? Year to
which
year.
is normal. So theoretically, you're not getting a discount to go to OSU this year, even if you're getting online education. But they don't want to lose the money from room and board, so they're not. Well, they are making you go to and pay for the room and board, and then also do the classes online. To go percentage wise or things like that, I think the NFL will figure out a way to do it. They might do it like the way the major league's doing it right now, where hey, maybe the Browns don't play this week, or maybe this team doesn't play this week because they have an outbreak, things like that. I think college is going to give it every effort that they can to play, but I think that it's as the season goes on and as the athletes who might have different rules than everyone else, and they might try to have the athletes in a bubble. I think that if they do the testing that they're saying that they're going to do, that college is going to have a hard time making it through the season. I think the NFL is going to do everything that they can to make it through the season. And then, hey, the Browns or the Bears or whomever's like, they just might not have 5 or 6 guys one week.
Well, so I already know.
And you hope
so
it's
the
not
big thing with the
quarterback or
NFL,
something like that.
big thing with the NFL,
Or
there's
you might
already
hope it's a quarterback with Mitchell.
easy. Who's your quarterback?
The Baker Mayfield.
No, you already have athletes opting out, and they're allowed to do that, right? So, which
small percentage though, very small percentage.
Yeah, I was talking to a diehard Patriots fan, and it was like six of their players so
Well,
far have backed out.
Yes, but they're
So far.
they're the anomaly. Most teams, like the Browns, have 3 guys that have opted out, but most teams are not having guys opt out because you would
So
get
far.
paid. I think the NFL is you get paid $150,000 if you opt out, and that will be taken out of next year's paycheck if you play. But that's very different than making 5, 10, whatever, how many $1 million a year than you're currently
I think
making.
money's a big motivator. I'm of the opinion that I believe by the time we get to the NFL season, which is not that far away, you will see either the go ahead from the MLB, because that's all the news right now is that they may cancel the entire season.
They're not going to cancel it though.
But literally, I mean, and I know this is from ESPN, which is owned by.
The Marlins
but-
had 18 guys test positive, and they missed 1 week of baseball.
which is the way, which is more than I think they should miss, personally. But I believe that the NFL football in general is not a sport that you can play in a bubble. I mean, this is when they added Monday Night Football, they added Thursday Night Football for those. And like you look at college, they have like Friday night games, they have these other things, and you have a bye the next week because you can't always like turn around and do that. I don't think this is doable, that kind of a schedule in a bubble, because you look at some of these other ones like NHL, not MLB, but NBA. They're playing in a bubble. These guys play
I don't
what,
disagree.
4 or 5 days a week, you know.
And
MLB
they're going home to
is
their
that
families.
kind of hybrid that they're traveling, but then they're isolated. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to, and you have certain. Then you have to introduce people to this whole thing, right? Where you have trainers that are either good or they're dog shit, and they are either doing everything that they can to protect these players and the organizations that are doing, like in the doctors and everyone that's involved in the health of everyone. then you're going team to team.
I think the big schools like Ohio State, like Michigan, Penn State, all that type of stuff are going to try to keep their kids as isolated as possible. And then some of the smaller schools, like, UConn just pulled out, they're not having a football season. And some of these smaller schools that just don't have the ability to house their athletes, or maybe sports aren't as important.
Or if you're not making money off of it, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic, but I hope it happens, obviously, for just purely to have, that
well, there's the irony right there. Can I get that handle there? There's the irony is that if we ever needed sports or a distraction, this is the time. And it's something that I think that we at this point have taken for granted that it'll always be there.
I don't think we took it for granted when we didn't have it for 4 or 5 months, however long it was. And everyone was complaining about baseball with the money at the time. And now that they're playing, everyone's just like, all right, it's nice to have baseball every night.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, 60 games, but it's nice that, for you to pay attention to the Cubs score every night.
Good 9-2, 7-2. Doing pretty well.
By the time this airs, that will not be.
They are playing right now. The Royals,
all right, what we got
Royals
next
are pretty
here,
good.
Mr. Crane?
Just looking at the comments here real quick. All right.
Anything good?
There's some deep ones. Here's a more fun one.
Boxers or briefs?
All right, now you said it. Let's do it. Boxers, briefs, or tidy whities. I don't know if you can say tidy whities anymore, but
why is that political?
Boxer briefs, or tidy whities.
During the day or at night?
Cubs are up 2-1.
And they're 9-2.
You wear different underwear styles, not just different underwear, but different underwear styles.
It's either wearing underwear or not wearing underwear.
So one of the things that Spencer said when he was talking about the t-shirts, he's wearing the Smoking 10 event t-shirt right now. Is that he said after I wash them, they become night shirts, and I said I don't know if that means they get longer or.
So I switched to.
I didn't know if you're like, are you poo bearing it or are you?
No. So I switched to boxer briefs many years ago for
daytime.
Nighttime with a very special lady friend. We're not doing anything, but tidy whities have not been a thing for me personally. Currently I'm wearing underwear.
Yeah. Lady friend.
Yes.
At night,
no underwear. During the day,
but like long sleeve shirts.
No, nothing.
Right.
In the buff. But did everyone else go through a Joe Boxer phase at all, or is that just me?
No,
with the smiley face?
That's
so
just
the
you.
Joe Boxer phase was nice.
I went through a
grade
boxer
school,
phase.
Junior, when you had to change in the locker room, that was definitely boxers. But over the past, I'd say 15 to 20 years, it has been boxer briefs.
You have a brand that you
sure.
always
It's
follow?
Calvin's.
Calvin
Hobbes? Schmitz. What do you mean? Calvin Klein, dude.
Calvin Klein.
I mean, you stick with Old Familiar.
You are kind of a name brand whore, yeah.
What type of generic ass Costco brand boxers are you wearing?
I'm not asking.
Well, you're about the question is coming your way.
Steve wears Fruit of the Loom.
I don't.
You don't wear anything.
I used to.
Oh, sure.
I used to wear Hanes. You wear Hanes. Our audience artists.
Hanes what?
Boxer briefs. So I used to wear boxers like you did back in high school and all that stuff. Then I switched over to boxer briefs. My boys need some support, just like Kramer, I think it was. As a kid, it was the whitey tighties. I mean, that was just, I don't know, Midwestern Lutheran family.
I don't think it has anything to do with religion.
Yeah, it's conservative. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Okay.
I think it does have something to do. I mean, yeah, we're Lutheran is like one step off of Catholic. I think that's just how you're raised.
Catholic light.
Yeah.
Nate, what about yourself?
Corrected Catholic. That's Lutheran.
I think Steve's still answering.
I don't have to. I'm part of a subscription. I get.
Are they sponsoring the podcast? Because that's all the subscription boxes I listen to.
That would be amazing. I should reach
it's
out.
Like myundies.com or
MeUndies.
Oh, so we are.
Yeah.
Do you have matching
with
your special lady friend?
With what friend?
So, as a member of Patreon, you get
Bourbon and BS. Boxer briefs. No, yeah, we have one pair of matching just because she liked them, and so I got her a pair.
It's Christmas in July. I get it, bro. I get it.
They're pineapples, actually. I don't know why she liked that one.
Nate.
My last one was
Wow.
red wine.
Literally trying to get you off the hook. Trying my best.
No shame.
Yeah. This is like stress out. Like I don't know what else to do here.
Red, white, blue.
Red, blue pineapples.
No. That was the last pair.
Okay, Nate.
Boxer briefs, typically either Calvin Klein, Diesel, or Duluth Trading Company.
Because you want something sturdy
For the woodchucks.
for those long days. I get it.
Those long days sitting
Yeah,
at
you got
the
a good-
desk in front of my computer.
Good Carhartt pair, just something just really built well.
Oh no, that God, Carhartt underwear. That'd be
Thick.
so
It'd be thick.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
No, that was it.
That's-
So we should probably keep. We got to
So-
keep this one going
So
for an hour.
I would rather fight an alligator.
On land or water.
Fair question.
If you could travel back in time, when and why?
Oof. I saw that.
That's from
question.
Shannon.
I saw that question. I was like, ooh, that could be a tough one.
All right. Do I have to participate or can I just kind of view what's going on?
That's not part of the question, so you can do whatever you want,
All
I
right,
guess.
if I don't have
But I gotta tell you, if you time travel,
Are you going to bring up the butterfly effect?
no, I mean it
Okay.
depends on what theory of time travel you believe in or what movie you watched. But if you time travel, it is very difficult. Oh, nice, Jesus Christ! If you time travel,
to, please don't.
you have to realize that everyone goes into it. Not everyone, but if you go into it, try not to participate and be a wallflower, if you will, or a fly on the wall. I don't think you're going to be able to pull that off. I think you're going to be pulled in. I mean, if you're
So this-
there, I don't know how you can just do
So
that.
you went with
Someone's
the,
going to see.
So you went with the Lutheran thing. I'm Jewish, which is pre-Catholic, I would
How
say.
far back do you?
I
How
said-
far back do you
so
go?
this is where I'm going with this. If I don't have to participate, I'd like to see what happened in Egypt. If I have to participate, I am building these pyramids, and that is not a good end.
Well, I think that
For
you
me.
go in with scenario 1 and you end up in scenario 2. My
Yeah,
friend.
I mean, it doesn't end well until we part the sea. So that's
are you
what-
wearing
you
hair
wanna be
gel
Moses?
when you time travel?
I don't think I would do well at the pyramids. I would immediately complain about the
I heard
hours.
I heard
Manual
the aliens did
labor.
that anyways.
Yeah, but I would like to see how Egypt
You
was.
just want to see how the pyramids were made.
Yeah, I'd like to see that type of ecstasy. So that's where I'm going with this. Nate,
I was thinking about that question.
Pyramid Egypt.
I'm not going to be that far off from Spencer's answer. I was thinking I had a couple. One, go back to the Garden of Eden,
Jeez.
see what that was like, and then smack the shit out of Adam and Eve for fucking it up for the rest of us.
don't smack Adam.
Hey, they both screwed up. All right, come on.
It's inevitable,
Uh,
I feel like.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's literally
just to see what the, I mean, so whether you believe that or
Adam
not,
Jr. would
yeah,
mess
just
it up.
just to see what exactly that was.
Okay.
Other time was to actually go back during the time of Christ and see that stuff firsthand. Because
Wow.
if you read the Bible, you read it, but like I know my stepdad, who was a pastor, like one of the things that he always wishes he knew was you had the woman that was brought before Jesus and everyone wanted to stone her, and then he just writes something in the sand. But it's never recorded what he writes in the sand.
Wow.
And that always drove my stepdad nuts. He always wanted to know that.
So anyone ever watch Back to the Future?
So I was gonna say that kind of is about my answer. So my favorite Back to the Future was Back to the Future 2.
Which one? Was that the
Where he
future?
goes in the
Future,
future.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this
go in the
isn't him
future.
going back to
Hoverboards.
try to possibly hook up with his mother.
That was the first
He
one.
didn't. That's my
He
point
wasn't
about.
trying to hook
hang
up with
on,
his
hang on.
mother.
That's what that. My point was that you just you go back on accident or trying to be a wallflower. You're involved.
So you want the sports bets? Is basically what's happening here.
I'm not even saying coming back. I would.
We are the future. What year do you think that was?
I forget. But this time,
Right.
I'm still waiting on a hoverboard. Not that bullshit with 2 wheels. That's not a hoverboard.
Okay.
I would like
You
to go
want
to
a
the
segue.
future. No, I would like segue. I would like to go to the future because I want to see where we're at. So if I had to pick,
How far are you going?
I don't want to go too far because I've seen Terminator also. Like, you know, it doesn't end well.
We're headed that way. We're headed towards Hunger
Did you ever
Games.
see Time Traveler with Guy Pearce?
I've seen Time Cop.
A little bit different, but okay.
I would say I would go, what is it, 2020 now? Let's go just right outside of my life expectancy. I would shoot for, not just outside, because
2100.
no, 2070. Put 50 years on it and see where it's at. One thing I like about it, because based on what Spencer was saying, is that if I go to the future, if I mess something up, I'm dead. If I go back in time and then come back, if that wasn't part of the question, but if I come back, now you're dealing with like Biff's Big Hotel, or these alternate lines of the future. If I go 50 years in advance, I can see where we're at. Yeah, sure. Yeah, if I come back, I can maybe make a couple bucks. It'd be cool. And change my future.
Just keep doubling down that
Hot tub time
on that
machine.
COVID vaccine.
That COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Hot tub time machine, yeah. But yeah, I'd go in the future.
Underrated movie for the record.
No, it's not.
Hot tub time
Thank
machine,
you.
1, yes. 2, not so much.
Well, because that was in the future.
Yeah, I'd go in the future.
All right, so 50 years from now.
All right, daddy issues.
What's the question?
Someone close the garage
Kyle-
door.
Do you have them?
Someone close the garage door.
I think that was the question
I
there.
feel like
from
we did
Kylie.
this on one time with,
Easy.
Kylie had said it.
Kylie asked, "What can I get for 75?" I'm going
That's
back.
all
a
right.
little
I got an answer for that.
Kylie, if you're still listening, yeah, it was something about daddy issues. I think that was just it, daddy issues. While we wait on Kylie's and lose viewers. Oh, that's a political one.
Let's not.
Just ask it if it's not too crazy.
No.
All right, here's one relative to the Bourbon BS community.
Okay.
Should Ohio get rid of the Liquor Control Commission?
What is the
So we are a state-run liquor agency, right? So the state of Ohio controls bringing the liquor in, the holding of it, the distributing of it within the state, and then also the pricing of it.
So what is an example of a nearby state that does not have a liquor agency?
Nate?
Michigan,
And-
Kentucky.
And what is the advantage to living in Michigan or Kentucky?
So I mean, it's going to depend on how you look at it. So with Kentucky, it helps with most of the bourbon being produced in Kentucky. But the retailer that sells it, they can just order it from the distiller or distributor. They can just order it and it comes right to them. Whereas in the state of Ohio,
So John Eagle could just order something and you'd have 10 bottles of Hirsch or whatever.
or if they can get it, yeah. In the state of Ohio, the state orders the liquor. The retailer puts their order in through the state, and then the state determines how much they get. The state also determines the price.
So in the cigar industry, so it would be the same as if we had to order from the state for all of our cigars, right? So
is
instead
anyone
of
going to
ordering
say
from,
no?
there's no one out. I mean, this
No,
is
I
just
mean
a question.
of this. I mean,
I think there's. I
mean,
think there's.
So Nate, you had a view on this. So kind of set the table with this one. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I think there's good and bad to both. So I think one of the things that would benefit if you were in a non-state regulated state was your local liquor agency could order whatever they wanted, and hopefully they'd be able to get it. And it wouldn't be something that was controlled. Like some of the, like, for example, Ohio, we can't get Willet.
Right.
There's no Willet products sold in the state of Ohio. So if it was if the state didn't control it, your local Kroger, Giant Eagle, or whatever other agency you go to, they might be able to sell Willet products. I think that would be a great thing. I think one of the benefits, however, to having a regulated agency is the price control. It doesn't matter what liquor store you go to. If you find a bottle of Blanton's in Ohio, it's going to be $54.99. Doesn't matter where you go in the state of Ohio, it's going to be the same price on every single shelf. You go to states that are not regulated, and you could be paying $150, $200, I've seen Blanton's as high as $1,000 a bottle because that particular store is
Supply and demand.
is setting
Supply
the
and
price. Well, supply and demand to a point, but
it's $1,000 if someone's willing to pay $1,000 for
So
it.
that's where
but
you
how
look
long
at
is
it.
it going
So
to
that's
sit there?
and that's fine.
No, but yeah,
But
let it
think
sit
about
there for
that,
longer,
like-
and then they sell one bottle for $1,000.
So look at like just Keystone markup, right? In a lot of industries, not talking about like retail or anything like that, like clothing or, but it's say you get that. So that bottle that is say, and I know there's a lot of steps even with Ohio, but just simple math. Say it's like, Buffalo Trace puts it out there. They sell it to the state for $30. Now the state has to realize what's their cut tax wise, and then also, so if that shows up at $55 or $60, everyone's getting a cut of that. Now, so now that liquor store is like, all right, so I mandated this price, so I get $20 off of this sale to have it on my shelf. Or you can have this $1,000 with the same type of sale, right? $25, $30 for that bottle of Blanton's, and I got it on the shelf for $1,000, and I don't sell it, and then 3, 4, 5 months later, I sell for $1,000.
If you sell it within 5 months, yes, you it's worth it. But
You gotta understand, you're also selling other shit.
it's true. But chances are, I mean, that bottle's gonna, like, I saw one today because there's a page that I follow, Jefferson's aged at Ocean. There was a store selling the cask strength aged at Ocean, $7,500.
You got to understand there are people that are out there that are they're
morons.
So there's
There's
morons,
morons.
and there's also people that are playing in a different league. So it
True.
doesn't-
If
it
money's
doesn't
no
matter.
option for you, then
And there's also people that are visiting these shops that know the people that are playing in different leagues. You know what I mean? And there's also people playing in different leagues that have people working for them that are not in their league, but they're doing that. And they're like, hey, what was that bottle you wanted? You wanted that Blanton's. You wanted that Jefferson's, that special bottle. Got it for $7,500. And to that person, $7,500, literally, there are people, obviously, as we know, that's the same as $75 to anyone at this table.
true.
And it's like, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll take it. How many do you have?
Well, it's like what Bobby Crow just said: buy within your league. I mean,
Well, that's good advice.
Yeah, I mean, you better have a customer that's willing to pay that for that. But then again,
The other issue is though, Nate, is you got to think about is that bottle of call it the Blanton's, like that's sitting on your shelf that you paid $30 for. No one buys it for a year. $30. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
get
Like
it.
it's not the same thing as buying like a that you could retail. So in the cigar pipe industry, we have these like $300, $400, $500 pipes that we're paying wholesale for. I'm not going to tell you guys what we pay for, but it's like you figure like those higher end priced items, we don't sell 4 days a week. We sell $10 cigars every day.
Yep.
So when that one person comes in and buys that pipe or buys that lighter or that ashtray or that humidor, it's like, that's a great sale, but you have to have it to sell it.
You got to show the Lamborghini to sell the Fords.
Absolutely.
I'm jaded because more of my friends are very anti this commission. For me personally, if there's ever a bottle that, thank you. If there's ever a bottle that I want, I'm able to buy it on the secondary market, and I'm not a searcher for things.
No.
So for me personally, it doesn't affect my day to day. I do like some form of regulation. I don't think it's out of hand, but I'm sure some people do. So for me, the commission doesn't bother me.
Yeah. So I like the pros of it, which is a little bit of price control, but then you're relying on the government to
demand
to
or
govern it, right?
the availability.
Well, so both sides of it. On the plus side, possibly they're asking a fair price, which is what like Canepa, who is the guy in charge right now, which I'd love to have on the podcast, but I know it might be different for ours because part 2, but because questions like this. But I think that a guy like that has good intentions, in my opinion, to keep this a fair market.
I think he's done some great
But
things.
you have to have trust in that. Now, the other side of it is that
I think it's bullshit that other states that have some simple ones like the Buffalo Trace products that we like, Willet products that won't distribute to Ohio, that you have like an Eagle Rare bottle that you can get in Michigan, like you mentioned, Nate, and it's the same price, if not cheaper, and it's stacked up.
Yeah.
But here it's a fair price. But goddamn, if you
It's
don't have to
gone in
walk in that
20
store,
minutes.
yeah. So there's different things. There's different
All right,
sides.
so Nate, yay or nay on the? Do you want to have the commission or no?
As in like what we have right now.
Yay or nay?
I like it because I know no matter what store I go to, if they have the bottle I'm looking for, I know exactly what I'm going to pay walking in that door.
How about you, Spencer?
I'm going with it. Doesn't affect my day to day, so I'm just gonna go. Yeah, I feel like they
You
have
also
the,
travel, right?
I also travel, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to liquor stores in Indiana and Pennsylvania and West
You
Virginia searching for stuff, and I should. But knock on wood, I enjoy this stuff, but it's not. I'm not looking to add to my collection. I enjoy it, but I'm not searching for stuff that other people are searching for.
Yeah. So for me, it's I'm yay for the state run because I know that the liquor, the bourbon especially, market is silly right now. I think it, like I've said it before on the podcast, I think it is the cigar industry, but it's an infant in a sense, where like the cigar industry, there are, for those that smoke cigars out there, you have the Opus buyers, you have the Unico series, you have any unicorn,
Yeah.
if you will, cigars that there are shops that will charge the shit out of you to get that. And if you're a collector or you want to smoke it, or you have that kind of that money that you're hopefully not overextending yourself, as Bobby said, it's up to the shop owner.
Yeah.
But I think I like the fair market part of it. But I think that the state run thing or whatever, the body needs to get after it. Like, stop. Like, this is ridiculous. I think the fact that you can go to another state that does it, don't piss off the suppliers. You know what I mean? Or also, because I've heard it over the last several years, is that you're sitting on skids of a product because you're trying to leak it out a little bit here and there. It's like, just fucking put it out there and get more. Get after it. Like, go be more aggressive if you are in that industry. And I don't know the nuts and bolts of what Canepa's job is or someone that's in charge of doing all this stuff. But I feel like there's a way to maybe lean it more towards the consumer on availability, and maybe you do have to raise the price. So if I go in and look at, like, say, the Eagle Rare bottle, instead of being $35, now it's $40, but it's more readily available, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Here's I think the biggest disadvantage that I see. It's at the people that want to serve this stuff at their local bars, restaurants. Obviously, that's not as big of a deal. Like, if Amy wanted to sell this stuff at McKellen's, she's much more restricted as far as what stuff she can carry.
I
So if
agree
you
with
want
that
to
point.
carry
That's a
unique
good
stuff,
edge,
she's
yeah.
not allowed to carry some of the stuff that's out. She's not allowed to carry this Hirsch and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where maybe restaurants and
Well, the consumer
bars
loses out, right?
not necessarily.
I think they do. I think
not
the consumer
necessarily
does.
the retail consumer. I'm talking about the consumer that wants to. Hey, if I want to go to a cool
Same thing.
bar, I'm not gonna pick. But I mean, yeah,
I think the
don't-
consumer I'm sorry, I was speaking to the consumer going into like McClellan's pub,
yes.
and they're like, "Hey, I was listening to the Bourbon and BS podcast. They had Hirsch on. Do you have that?" They're like, she's like, "No, I can't get it in Ohio."
Yeah.
Why
maybe.
can't you? Because they don't distribute here and it's not available.
Or she has it in her own private collection, is not able to give it out to the public.
Absolutely,
There you go.
100%.
All right, what we got next?
All right, best mixed drink in all your opinions.
I'll go with Nate.
No,
Best-
go, someone else go.
No, you go ahead.
No, someone else
All right,
go.
I'll
No,
go.
go-
I'll go.
I'm gonna have to
I'll go
think about
Miami
that.
Vice.
Miami Vice.
Yeah, red, white, and blue. Miami Vice, little slushy.
Man after my own
on
heart
a
on vacation.
on a cruise, on a vacation. If I'm looking for the best mixed drink that I will ever have, besides like the smoked Manhattans and things along those lines, a Miami Vice in the proper.
So you got pina colada,
yes,
strawberry daiquiri,
of course.
and then what's the blue? It's like blue,
Blue
Caraca,
Caraca, yeah.
and
Blue
that's it.
Curacao.
That's it.
Yeah.
And normally you can swim up to the bar to get it.
So the best Miami Vice I ever had was coming back from Jamaica.
Sounds like a good place to get one.
And we went to the Sky Bar, which if anyone's coming back through Montego Bay, you pay at the
How
time.
many people do you think are coming back from Montego Bay at this time?
Not at the moment, but when it opens back up, I will recommend anyone. And so we did it from the DR, and it was a big like upcharge, like $120
For
but-
one Miami Vice.
No. Listen,
All right.
for the like to get through all the customs and everything else, you can upgrade at these hotels or at the airports. And at Jamaica, Montego Bay Airport, it was $35
For what?
Wait.
to get through customs ahead of everyone else.
So your TSA.
So you get your bags checked in and everything else. They take you up there. Then you get through customs, and then they take you to the Sky Bar, which is a private lounge area that has little snacks and hors d'oeuvres, little sandwiches, and drinks, all included for $35. Not
All
only
you can
that,
drink?
not all you can drink.
You know it's not.
Not
coming
only
back, the mixed nuts at the bar. We're never having that again.
Never
And
the mixed
everyone
nuts.
was like 3 years ago, they're
It's a
dirty.
bad
I was
idea. It's
like,
a bad
yeah,
idea.
just don't eat my nuts. I don't know what to tell you.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
But the best Miami Vices I had was
Coming back to Ohio.
we were getting back on the plane, and the
shaker?
bartender, that was a shaker story. So we're sitting there, and the bartender is like, "Hey, you guys want some to-go drinks?" Sure. So he starts like doing these like little like plastic cups about up to there, and he's like, "You want one too?" I was like, "Hey, can you fill anything?" He said, "Yeah." So of course I've got a
Protein shaker.
I have a shaker. It's a 24-ounce shaker.
Of course you do.
And I was like, "Can you fill this?" He's like, "Yeah, man."
Just chunky
He
vanilla
takes it.
protein. just
There's
floating
about
to the
like
top.
that much rum in this thing. We just go to the gate, and there's like the other 4 people on the trip that didn't go to the Sky Bar. They're like, "How are you guys in such a good mood?" And we're like, "We're hammered. We were in there for an hour and a half."
For the people listening on the audio, how much rum was in that? Because they can't see when you did the fingers.
What do you like?
6-8 ounces of rum.
6 to 8 ounces of rum in a Miami Vice, and
So a
mind
fourth.
you-
So a fourth of that shaker,
Yeah.
at least a fourth or a third of that
it's a good
shaker was
flight
rum.
home.
So is
It's a
that
good-
your favorite drink, or is there something else that'd be?
It was not my favorite.
What's your favorite cocktail?
My favorite.
Irish Carbo.
Got good memories.
Can you say that anymore?
Are there memories?
I do have a good memory with the car bomb. I also have no memories with some car bombs.
2 for 8, 1 for 4. What a deal!
I have a good memory with the car bomb. I was in Chicago visiting some family, and my younger cousin who was dating this guy. I don't think they were engaged, but now they're married and have a couple kids. But I remember we were at
We spoke about him earlier.
No. But we were at his friends. We were hanging out with his family and everything else. And I think they were Irish descent, and they're having a good time. And I was like, "Let's do some car bombs." And my cousin Melissa is like, "I've never done that. I don't know."
That's what someone who has done a lot of them would say.
She did the car bomb, and she's like, "This tastes like chocolate milk." I was like, "I know." And she's like, "Let's do another." And like, that's my memory. She's like, literally, like, she drank it, dropped it in there, drank the car bomb, and then she like went back before she set it down. She literally was like, "Oh," she's like, "There's more in there." She's all about it. Favorite cocktail? It's basic, man. I love good Manhattan, good old fashioned, vodka martini.
You're literally naming cocktails for the record.
No, I'm just trying to think. I think that's. I mean,
It's hard
it's
for him to
different
just
for every.
sit on one.
Yeah,
Different
for every
occasions for different
occasion.
cocktails.
Different strokes.
I love a good margarita.
Nate.
All right. So does adding a splash of water to bourbon count as a mixed
That's
drink?
not a
Sure.
cocktail.
Is there a specific bourbon that you like adding
or
water to?
specific water? Fiji or
Not Steve's tap
I
water.
love Fiji.
I do too.
Jesus, so good.
Gotta
Tastes like
spoil yourself.
Tastes like
sometimes.
water. Yeah.
No,
Doesn't fit in any.
I don't really do many mixed drinks. But if I had, it's for me it'd be a toss up between a margarita and an old fashioned.
Two very
Margarita and an old fashioned.
Yeah, one of
Okay.
those two. If I had to pick one, it'd be one of those two.
Yeah.
different- All right. What's next, Mr. Crane?
Let's take a look here.
Oh, I hate Bobby's question that he just posted.
What's his question?
So he posted,
Would you rather?
would you rather have cigars
There we
for the
go.
rest of your life or bourbon for the rest of your life, but whichever one you pick, you can't have the other one. You can't even purchase the other one ever again.
Cigars.
This isn't that hard for me. I mean, go ahead, Steve.
Cigars.
Because
There's other alcohol.
interesting.
I can't.
Good point.
And actually, for me, I think I mean, not only because of the industry I'm in, but I prefer smoking a cigar at any time of the day.
Yeah.
And more recently, it's interesting. For a while there, I actually had kind of like backed off from smoking. There's a time where I really first got in the industry too, where I was smoking all the time. I was smoking cigars all the time because I was trying to learn more. I was enjoying it. It was like literally I would smoke a cigar on the way to the gym. After the gym, I
How
would
do you
smoke
feel
it.
after you smoke a cigar to the gym? How do you feel during your workout?
Fine, because it's a short drive.
Well,
It's not really influence
Are
me.
you doing cardio?
What's that? I don't understand. I don't speak foreign languages.
So I'm lifting, right, with my cigar in my mouth.
If I could.
So cigars, no doubt.
Cigars, yes. Over bourbon, yes. I love bourbon. I love the different whiskeys. The greatest part about that question is that, and this is semantics, I get my cigars and I get my whiskey along with every other spirit and like beer and everything else. I have to cut out bourbon, which I would hate to do. But if I had to choose, if I just chose bourbon, I would not be able to smoke cigars, and that's it.
Yeah, I would do the same because if you cut out
I think
bourbon,
Spencer needs some of that Old Forester.
oh, is that what he's okay?
The jug, if you don't mind.
The jug. Yeah, because I can still smoke cigars, and okay, now I have to drink, rum, tequila, vodka. Oh darn. Whereas if I was like, oh, I'm only going to pick bourbon and I can no longer smoke cigars, what's my alternative?
Yeah.
Vaping and cigarettes. Like, no.
There's
No.
always weed. What do you smoke?
I'm not Ronnie.
Not heroin.
No.
Crack?
Yeah, you can smoke crack.
No, it's all right. I'd rather have cigars.
I might go with bourbon.
You would cut out cigars completely.
I would cut out cigars completely. I mean, for me personally, cigars aren't the same lifestyle as they are for you. I enjoy them, when I play poker, if I'm, on a golf course and stuff like that. But, I don't smoke them on an everyday basis. I don't drink bourbon on an everyday basis. But bourbon is something that I like and turn into love. And cigars is something that I really like and enjoy. But I feel like I could wean myself off them.
I look at this too. I want to make a point of this. For those that drink bourbon daily, or like especially not at bars, but at home, we look at all these bourbon collections, these whiskey collections. There's so much money tied up in all this stuff, which hopefully you're not overextending yourself, just like anything else. Cigars, if you smoke cigars, say you smoke 3 cigars a day,
$30. 30 to
on average, $30. Yeah, call it $10 cigars, right? You can smoke cheaper, you can smoke more expensive.
Right.
Whiskeys, again, you can drink cheaper. Old Forester, which we're sipping on right now, right? If how much was that handle?
$36.99.
So for $30 in cigars, if you're drinking a handle of Old Forester every day,
you have a problem.
You're probably not functioning.
Enjoy yourself while it lasts.
Yeah. Well,
and ask for.
Yeah, it's
documentation
leaving
what you
Las
did.
Vegas. You're literally drinking to kill yourself at that point.
No, I just think there's so much. If you enjoy a cigar, I think there is so much. And
I would phrase.
I think there's so much purity in smoking a cigar, much like there is drinking a bourbon. If you're doing it with like what I was talking about earlier, I think it was part 1, where when you go out and you talk to the people, or you're with those people that actually blend it or roll it, or you're at the factories,
it's a whole different level.
I think that there is something that when you smoke a cigar,
you like the experience of it.
the one thing I'll choose, and the gimme on that one was the fact that I can still drink. I just can't drink bourbon, right? Which I will miss.
Yeah.
But
would no liquor if it was just beer?
I'd still choose cigars.
Yeah.
I enjoy
With
cigars.
no Miller Lite.
With cigars. Okay, now you're really fucking with
I
it.
got Harp. I got Guinness. I got.
But no, yeah. With cigars though, like
500 craft brews.
I can smoke a cigar and not drink, and be relaxing on my back porch. I can smoke a cigar and drink and be relaxing.
Can you not drink without a cigar?
I can drink without a cigar. I can smoke without a drink.
There you go.
But I mean, I relax. Like if I'm smoking a cigar, I'm going outside, sitting on my porch. I'm smoking a cigar. I'm relaxing, doing something on my tablet, watching a movie or something. I don't go out to my back porch to watch a movie just so I can have a drink. I can sit inside in the living room and drink and watch a movie.
Exactly.
But I'd rather
time you could
I'd
smoke
rather
a cigar in your living room.
I would love to be
So,
able to do that.
I think I saw
I don't
on
own
the
cigar.
pot or on the feed. What's the first time you had a cigar? How'd you kind of get into it?
yeah.
That was
So-
a question.
I'm not gonna. So the first time I got into it, obviously, was on the golf course. But first time I really got into cigars.
It's not obvious.
No, I'm sorry. So the first time I got into cigars, so I've been in Columbus 12 to 13 years, and one
Okay.
of the first times I've ever been to a cigar shop was your cigar shop.
Really?
And this was with Bobby, and it was
Kevin
more
Capes.
Kevin Capes, yeah. As well as it was a place to hang out and to socialize, but I enjoyed the socialization of it
Yeah.
way more than the cigar itself. The cigar was a tool for me to enjoy other people's company,
Which is a great byproduct, I think, of it. And the great thing about tobacco, in my opinion, is that you can smoke a cigar and not have we can smoke 2 cigars, hang out.
Yeah.
And you are.
it calms you down, and
Let me tell
it's-
you, you're
yeah.
conscious though. Like
You can still
well,
drive home.
you have to sit in the moment. You
Yeah.
can't. You have to be there for the full half hour,
which
half
is
hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever it is. You
which
have
is
to
a
be-
challenge a lot of times.
It's a challenge. So I during this whole COVID thing, and I'm not an avid card player, but I've happened to become one through all this. Is I'm on every Thursday I'm on a Zoom poker with 10 to
Okay.
20 different guys, and we got 2 tables, but you have to be on the Zoom to actually be in it. And this
So
is
it's like a video thing.
yeah,
like
it's on
online.
the video. So half the computer screen is the poker table, and the other half of the screen is the 15 guys that are on Zoom. So it's that male camaraderie that goes along with poker, but it's not. You're not really talking about the cards. You're more how was your week, things like that. But what I've noticed is when I try to play this outside so I can have my cigar, and when the nights are raining or it's a really bad
Yeah.
night and I have to play poker inside, it's a much different experience for myself. It's much more dry. It's not as enjoyable. And I enjoy being
makes-
outside and having something else to do
That's
while I'm playing the cards. And you have
part
to
of my
sit in
point,
it.
though. You
But
know,
you have to sit in the moment with the cigar. You can't be. I'm very much like a duck on water. Like I think most of us are, where everything's going on below the surface. But when you try to be calm. When you have a cigar, you're very much in the moment. You're very much enjoying it. I'm not trying to get through this as quickly as I can. Where sometimes if you have a drink, you're like, all right, let me just cash out that drink, the Uber's here or whatever. And you're just trying to get through it onto your next step. So that was my kind of introduction into it. And then I enjoyed on a golf course and things like that. So that was my first.
yeah, but
kind
on
of
a golf
introduction.
course, it's not about the cigar; it's about the golf, and you have a cigar with you because you're hanging out.
But
Which
here's
I
the
like.
thing.
I like that part
I
too.
enjoy
Yeah,
golf much more if I can have a cigar, because I enjoy. Again,
you're drinking also. Though.
I enjoy I don't really drink that much on a
Beers?
golf course. Yeah, sure, but I'd much rather have a cigar on a golf course than a beer.
Yeah,
I enjoy the camaraderie on a golf course and having a cigar and being able to ease into it versus I gotta get through this round of golf in 4 hours.
I've actually played a golf course that you were not allowed. They didn't sell alcohol, and you were not allowed to bring alcohol onto the course.
What Amish country is this?
No, it wasn't that.
you had to
It-
play with wooden sticks.
No. It's
Is
because
this mini golf?
no, it was.
I've also smoked and drank on a mini golf course.
Dave and Buster's
I
is crazy
bet you
these days,
have.
bro.
Westerville.
no. It was
Something's wrong with that town.
no. It was a golf course in Kentucky
Used to
next to
be good.
Yatesville Lake, because the course is built into the side of the Appalachian Mountains, and so there are times where
You can't smoke or drink.
you can smoke, you can't drink on the golf course.
Yeah, safety.
Because there are
Safety.
times where if you miss a turn, you're either going off a 50-foot ledge or you're going into the lake. So it's a
that's more
safety
fun if
reason
you
why
have
you're not allowed to
Have
drink
some
on that golf course.
guardrails.
Yeah, you should
No,
have
there's no
directions.
guardrails. There's no guardrails.
It's
Yeah,
like bumper golfing.
yeah. Like you could be sitting there, like we hit our shot and go, okay, I'm over there about 10 yards past that bunker. You walk 8 yards past that bunker, and you're like, okay, that goes down 50 feet. That ball's lost.
So Nate, what's the 30-second story as to how you got into cigars?
So That'd
Yeah.
be my
Or the Hirsch or the Old Forester,
Which one do you want?
whichever.
so
Closer.
junior year of college.
Good
I was actually on my way to a reunion for staff members that worked at a summer camp. I was a camp counselor the summer before my junior year. It was Halloween weekend, and I was driving from college. I was headed towards camp, and right when I got on the road, I started noticing I was having some issues with my car, some axle issues, and I didn't want to risk it and drive all the way there. So I actually turned around, came back, and actually stopped at a gas station in town, which very, very small town. Stopped at a gas station and got a pack of, what I call gas station cigars.
Black and Milds.
No, it was the Anthony and Cleopatra's.
Same thing.
Close enough, yeah.
Put a tip on that and call
And
it.
so, yeah, so
Filtered.
so then instead, I went and stood outside, and the college I went to had smoking boxes. So the parking lot in front of my dorm building, there was a yellow painted box in the parking lot, and then at the far end of campus, there was another box that was outlined. If you wanted to smoke on campus, you had to stand in one of those two boxes.
Yeah.
It was also a dry campus. So that was when I had my first cigar. And then about a month or two later, getting ready for finals. And one of my friends who lived on the floor with me, all the stress of finals and everything was starting to get to him. And I was hanging out with him at the dorm room, and he's like, "Hey, I need a cigar. You want to have a cigar with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let me go grab one." Go to my room, and I grab one of those AC Grenadiers, and I come back, and he's like, "Is that what you're smoking?" Yeah. He's like, "Well, I'm smoking this," and I still have the original band, and it was a Don Elias, which was actually a brand that used to be made by Tarano. And he's like, "Well, I'm smoking this." And it was just a Robusto. He goes, "This is going to smoke for an hour, so you might want to go grab two." So I turn around and start to walk back to my room, and he's like, "Unless you want one of mine." And I was, "Yes, I'll take one of yours." So he hands me that cigar, and it was so much better than anything I'd ever smoked.
That's
And
great,
and
man.
from that moment on, that's all I smoked was the premium cigars, the handmade stuff, not the
Yeah.
machine made stuff.
It's a different ballpark,
And
right?
so he became my cigar buddy junior and senior year of college. And before we graduated, we'd had a little cigar party right in between finals and graduation. We'd had a little cigar party, and I told him, I was like, here's my opinion of you when I first met you sophomore year in physics class. This was my opinion of you. If I had to make my opinion of you now, like, you would be a groomsman in my wedding. And then fast forward 4 years later, he was a groomsman in my wedding.
Wow, that's great, man.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Steve?
What got me into it?
Yeah. Because I met you when you were transitioning from the moving company to thinking about working at the Tinder Box. And then you actually started working at the Tinder Box when
Yeah.
I first met you.
Yeah.
How many years?
I've been in the cigar industry for 7.5 years.
Seems longer for some reason.
Seems shorter for me.
Thank you.
I think I got you beat.
Probably do. But I also spent 12 years in the moving industry, so that seems like a very long time. Also, that's from like 18 to 30 something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just your 20s last longer. If that makes sense.
No, they do, because there's a
Your
big
20s
difference.
last
Because
longer.
every year is more meaningful. 21 to 22,
Oh, you're
20,
figuring shit
25
out.
to 27.
Yeah,
There's just
yeah.
a big difference. And 29 is way different than 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So cigars for me, I think the first one, and it's funny because my brother, who's 2 years older than me, does not drink, doesn't smoke. But I am convinced that when I was visiting him and his friends at Bowling Green here in Ohio, we got cigars, like, hanging out with college guys. I think it was his sophomore year, so I was a senior, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I was in college already, but we had cigars, and I enjoyed it. But it was hanging out with the older guys, and it was something that I was like, oh, that's enjoyable. But I never really pursued it. I actually don't have a good memory. It's gotten better as I've gotten older.
Were you into cigars when you were working at the former
yeah,
company?
so when I was in the movie industry, I started getting into cigars. I started shopping here locally. I got into it with some Avos, which that was just something that's recommended to me. Then I got into Padrones. I used to buy Padron 3000s and 4000s, which are sizes of the Padron series. And I enjoyed it. And then I started to go into Tinder Box more in like around 2007, 2008. So towards the end of that part of my career life, and also in my past relationship in my 20s and everything else. And it was something that I enjoyed. And then I fell in love with the culture of Tinder Box at Easton and the people that were involved. A lot of people that listen in now from all over. Ray Cheshire, we were talking about earlier. He's someone that I met, and it was something that I was brought into the culture. And then I had a really good friend of mine, Rob Mazer, who's still a good friend. He's like a brother, but it's one of those guys that we don't see each other all the time.
But when you do, it's just like nothing.
And then he's planning a vacation in April. And he's like, hey, we've been talking about it for the last 3 years. This is what we're doing. You should get, it's like one of those guys, But he and I, like when I was separated from my ex, and I lived with him for 3-4 months, and we came up to Easton and Tinder Box, and then the pub next door, Fido Irish Pub and Restaurant, and we were hanging out, and we'd go up there. Then I got into it. Then I started finding out what I liked. Then I started finding people I liked, and then it was all that stuff. So I've been drawn into this whole thing. I couldn't tell you what the first cigar I smoked was.
I have no idea.
But I could tell you.
How did you get picked onto those two brands that you mentioned?
I was a place called, before the current ownership, but a place called Humidor Plus.
Yeah.
Here in Columbus. It was the closest shop, so you look up cigar shops, and that was the closest one. So I went in there, but it didn't really frame what I smoke now, but it was one of those things that I think it kind of, it was in the background, and then it started becoming like more of an everyday type of stuff.
More of like your social scene.
And now, and I'm going to tell you this, it's actually it was, like I said, when I first got into the industry for a job, I was immersing myself and smoking all the time, not only for knowledge, but just because I wanted to immerse myself. Then I went through that, everyone goes through it 2, 3, 4 years into a job. You're like, all right, I'm still passionate about it, but I'm not as passionate about it. More recently, and maybe that's my experience going through this pandemic and the quarantine, is that I'm trying to get back to my roots of this. And now when I smoke a cigar, I have reminded myself of the it's very poetic, I guess, but it's like, or trumped up, is like the majestic side of it, the nuts and bolts that goes into it. Same thing with bourbon. It's like you want to know the history, but I don't even geek out about it. You don't even have to tell me everything about this Monte Cristo White Series to really appreciate it. But if I light it up and I can sit back and it's got a good draw, like you're doing, like what you're doing right now, Spencer. And for those on the audio, he sat back and he put the cigar in his mouth and he took a couple puffs off it, and he relaxed. He put his hands at his sides and he just puffed on that cigar. And whether or not he's listening to me or not, I think he is.
I'm daydreaming. Go ahead.
But I think there's a point with cigars that you can't duplicate the experience smoking a good cigar with anything else.
I don't disagree.
And that includes bourbon. This is called Bourbon BS Podcast.
It's
I mean,
also
we did not
who
put
you're
cigars
smoking
in
a
it.
cigar with.
Well, that's part of it. That's what that amps it up, right? That it gets more into it.
So Nate, I think that you're similar in age to me, maybe a couple years younger. So your experience of kind of having a smoking zone. So I was in a fraternity in college, and as a pledge, and I went to Indiana as a as a pledge, we had to carry a pack of cigarettes with us at all times. And we had to always be able to either give it to a girl, give it to a fraternity brother, anything like that. And cigarettes ended up being like a social lubricant. Hey, do you have a cigarette and stuff like that? You could smoke outside the dorms and things like that. So I'd be curious to know if even kids still do that these days, or if cigarettes are so frowned upon. But this wasn't that long ago, whereas cigarettes, you know, for you as cigars, but cigarettes at the time were the social lubricant for everybody. All right, Steve, what we got next?
Oh, that was, I thought you were asking Nate.
Oh,
No, there's no question.
well, I don't think, Steve, you really answered the question that I had tied into your story. Like,
What you just wrote?
no, not that. That's a little different. But so you said like one of the first brands you got onto was Padron. Like, how did that become one of the brands that
You know, it's the same thing as you know what we do now. You know, and hopefully people that listen to this podcast, especially part one, is that you try things that people recommend. So you listen to people that you either trust, or you go into a specialty store, and it's trial and error. And what I knew is that I'll say this is that at the time, and I was smoking. Now looking back, it was the Avo. It wasn't the classic. It was the Avo Domain.
I loved that cigar,
which I still don't care for. I like the Avo Classic, but when I went from the Avo Domain, because it was like not a cheap cigar, it wasn't super expensive, but it was like that was what was recommended to me walking in that store, if I recall correctly. And then they were like, all right, so what else should I try? Try the Padron. I smoked that. I liked it more. And so I stuck with that. And then it was, I smoked that, and I'd go in there every once in a while and smoke some of those. I remember the first time that, my ex, who's still a good friend of mine, that she was down in South Carolina, and there was this like cigar roller down there. And she brought back a handful of cigars that they rolled. And I still remember I was sitting back on the back steps at the old company, and I was doing some paperwork. And that's when I really started falling in love with smoking cigars. And I wished that it was more welcome in corporate America or in jobs, is that, you can smoke cigarettes and you can be any position, and you have 3-4 smoke breaks for 15 minutes a day, right? That's an hour a day that you can go smoke. But as someone that was in management, I can't go and do paperwork.
It's also viewed as more of a relaxing thing than
Absolutely.
cigarette. You're almost just trying to like inject it into your system, or a cigar.
So
if we were to bring back the time travel question, one of the things I've always said is I wish I could go back to the 1950s and go to a baseball game, sit in the stands, and smoke a cigar.
I just hope I'm not sitting behind you.
I wish we could do that. I wish I could go to a ball game.
Here's the reality of it. Let me see if I can pull this up.
Can we talk for 5 seconds about how freaking good this Monte Cristo White is?
Avi says, my neighbor just closed the window because I was smoking outside for negative weirdo.
I think that was the response to the question I had.
Yeah.
The question I had was, have you ever had someone judge you?
Yes,
because
1,000%.
And like Cesar had said positively.
Yeah, I get more positive.
You gotta be. Cigar smoke travels. I mean, you just gotta be aware of the environment. Like I get this.
And if you're surrounded by negativity with that, you're in the wrong place.
But
I mean, you can't smoke. You guys are in Easton. I mean, you can't smoke a cigar at North Star. You just can't do it.
You're in the wrong place.
Yeah,
it's literally across the street from you.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I can think of 2 different occasions. One for my stepdad, which I like that my mom's actually commenting and stuff on the page. So I actually
that's Victoria.
Yes,
yeah,
that's my mother.
She's a saint.
Yes,
Victoria Boggs is a saint.
She's a saint.
So the lady, the girl that I dated before I met my wife, for about the first 4 months we were together, I didn't tell her that I smoked cigars. And then I told her I smoked cigars. And then 2 months later,
I could have told you it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Now you held out for 4 months.
Now, if you ask her, she'll tell you that she broke up with me because I smoke cigars, but that's not the reason she broke up with
All
me.
right. Anyways, what's the
But-
next question?
But the other one was
Why did she break up with Nate?
no, my stepfather. So
Mm,
my mom's now widowed. My stepfather has been a
cheers to that, by the way. Cheers to your stepdad.
thank you. My stepdad was a pastor for over 40 years. And every now and then he would like to sit on the front porch or front patio and smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
But there are people in the church that would view that as a negative. And so he knew that he would have people judge him
Oof.
negatively because of his position if they knew he smoked cigars. And I remember one time I was sitting out at my mom and stepdad's, and we were hanging out, we were drinking coffee. Me and my stepdad are smoking cigars, we're playing cards or triominoes, one of those two. And someone pulled up to the house and he's like, "Oh crap, I got to put the cigar away." And I'm like, "Just tell him it's me. Like, just put the cigar in the ashtray. Tell him it's me smoking it, because I don't give a damn what they think of me for smoking a cigar." Obviously, because of his position, he does. But me, I didn't care.
Yeah, but
I'm
I-
like,
I
I'll
think-
take that. I'll take that heat because I don't give a damn about your
I'm not
opinion.
going to come down on his viewpoint. I understand it, but I think that is something that, especially in that arena where you have strong convictions, then he should have stood by that. You know what I mean? Like, no, this is me. You listen to me every Sunday or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
the scenario is that this, you can have your viewpoint.
Yeah.
And if you want to leave the church, you want to, like, fine.
My wife was thinking about a Christmas present for my mom for this year, and after my stepdad's passing, Jess asked me to ask my mom, like, what's your favorite picture
Yeah.
of my stepdad? What's your favorite picture? Because Jess had an idea of what she was going to use that picture for.
Yeah.
And the picture's kind of far away, so I don't think it's the best picture, but the picture that my mom told me was her favorite. And it was actually one that was shown during, because now at funerals, they do the slideshow of pictures.
Always a slideshow.
And it was one that was shown during the slideshow. And there was probably a lot of people that had no idea. But it was a picture of him in a pool, up against the edge of the pool in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, at a resort. And he just has his arms up against the edge of the pool, and he's got a cigar hanging out the side of his mouth.
Perfect.
And I was like, really? That's your favorite picture of him? Not, a picture behind the pulpit smiling, or the picture of the two of you at your anniversary? She's like, no, because he was so happy.
Oh, he's a person.
He is a person. But it was just, when that picture was taken, he was so happy. He was so relaxed. And that's one of her favorite memories of him.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
I got one question here that is actually relative to what Nate was just talking about, or I got one that's based on the pandemic. What do you want?
Related.
Pandemic.
Ooh.
God.
Related?
Just being
Wet. You did it. You said that just because I said the other way.
Of course.
All right. That's
Oh.
fine.
All right, what's the question?
If you could bring back someone you love,
Oh,
Jesus
I did. Oh,
you said it. You want me to go to the other one?
no, go ahead.
Let's keep this one short.
I'll preface my story.
Let's
but
keep
go
this
ahead.
one short. Let's keep this one short. If you could bring back someone you love who has passed back. Wait, let me read this. If you could bring someone you love who has passed back for one whole day to spend with them, who would it be and why? What would you do with them, and how would you spend that time with them? So again, let's keep this as brief as we can, but answer the question.
I've actually ended a party with that question before. I have.
Party was raging. And then Nate said something.
Yeah, but no, it was one of those parties where it's just a table of people, and we were all asking.
No, I know. We're just joking.
And I asked that question, and
All
there
right,
had been a couple people at the party that had lost close family members, and like, all right,
That's
that's
not
it,
an
I'm done.
icebreaker, by the way.
If it makes
That
you
was
feel
not
better,
a-
the pandemic question is
That-
next, which should be a real fucking
That ended the
cheer
party.
upper.
So
Nate, go ahead.
when I saw that question, I was kind of torn between my stepdad and my grandfather.
All right. So what is it?
I would say my grandfather.
Okay.
Because my stepfather just passed away recently.
Don't look at the feed, by the way.
My grandfather.
You see, you just literally looked at
My-
the fucking feed. Don't touch the oven; it's hot. All right.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks for that answer. Good visual.
So Nate.
So Spencer, you're not watching this feed, but
no, because I'm an adult.
the saint that, and she still is a saint. She chose my husband. ... Sex all day.
No, she did not.
Yes, she did.
Right there.
So when you were talking,
Right there.
no, when you were talking about,
I love that.
no, when you were talking, Spencer, when
We're
you
talking
were
about the husband, right? Not
no,
the
hold on.
grandfather.
Spencer, when you were talking, God,
She said
Her
my
husband.
husband.
when you were talking about, when you're at home with your girlfriend not wearing anything.
Yeah.
So I had to let my mom and stepdad know when I was coming home for the weekend from college. Otherwise, I might walk in on the two of them just sitting on the couch naked.
Banging.
No, not banging. They just had what they called Naked Fridays.
Yeah, they're already done.
They just
banging.
sat on the couch and watched TV naked.
So I wouldn't
So-
come home on Fridays. That's
That's
just
a good marriage
All
right
right,
there.
Nate, real
Exactly.
quick, 30 seconds.
So
Why are you
grandfather-
saying-
My
grandfather.
grandfather,
All right,
because
he's clothed.
because my
Because of Naked Fridays.
my grandfather passed away when I was 10.
Yeah.
Versus my stepfather passing away when I was 36. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to spend and get to know my grandfather. There's a lot of stuff that I would like to know and learn about what he
Yeah.
experienced in
Yeah.
his lifetime. The two things that I would do with my grandfather, one, we would go pheasant hunting together.
Yeah.
Because the last time my dad ever went hunting was with his father, pheasant hunting in South Dakota. I wish I was old enough to be able to go on those trips.
Yeah.
So that's why I wish I had my grandfather. But then after the hunting trip, sit on the front porch of his house in Obetz and smoke a pipe.
Yeah.
I actually have my grandfather's last pipe. And like I said, my grandfather passed away in 94.
Right.
And 94. And I have the last pipe he ever owned. And I would love to just go hunting with him and then sit on the porch and have a pipe with him.
Spencer.
So this is kind of carrying off of what Nate just said. So I would go with my mom's father as well,
Okay.
Grandpa Elliott. So he passed away when I was 10 years old. And do either of you believe in spirits or ghosts?
I believe in other people believing in it.
Okay, Nate?
I do not believe in ghosts.
Okay. Neither do I personally, but I believe there's a higher power, whatever that means. I believe that the world's a little bit bigger than us. Here's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
My mom's
Buckle up, everyone.
Yeah, that's not necessarily buckle up, but this is
You
one
got
of the
10 seconds.
better stories I have, and I'll keep it short and sweet.
Says
So
Nate.
my mom's sister passed away. So this is my mom's younger sister. She was killed, random act of violence. Obviously very terrible at the time. I think she was 26 at the time. My grandfather passed away about 6 months later. He was a avid smoker, went in for heart surgery. We didn't think that it was life-threatening, but he ended up passing out on the table.
Jeez.
My mom, when she was driving to Indianapolis, where my grandfather was driving to Indianapolis to be there for when he got out of the surgery.
Yeah.
She is driving to Indianapolis to
Nice.
hopefully see him when he gets out of surgery. And my mom is as straight-laced as they come, doesn't believe in this stuff, is not spiritual. And she's obviously religious, but does not believe in this stuff either way.
Yeah.
My grandfather, Jesus. My grandfather appears in the back seat of her car while she's driving to Indianapolis.
She's by herself.
By herself driving to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
While she is going to see him in surgery. When he is in surgery, my grandpa says to her, shows up in the back seat, she sees him in the mirror, and she's like, "Daddy, what are you doing in the back seat? Go back to your body." And my mom is not this way at all.
Wow.
And he says to her, "Your sister needs me more there than I'm needed here." And when she got to the hospital, she knew that he had passed away. Right. So he passed away when he was in his early 60s. I was 10 years old at the time. So, and he was a pontificator. So he was a avid smoker of cigarettes. So he would sit there at the dining table. If you can't see me, kind of laying back, hands on the belly, smoking the cigarette, things like that. So if I had to see one person, it would be similar to Nate, that I was only 10 years old and got to spend time with him. And I feel like that's where I kind of get my dad humor and things like that from him. So that would be my choice. But that is the one reason why I believe that there's just other things out there besides ourselves.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Top that, motherfucker.
So
I had 4 ghosts visit me the other
so it was Christmas
morning.
No, this is that is a very tough question for me, because I think about it sometimes, and
When I saw that, I thought I knew what your answer would be for this question.
no, it's not my dad.
That's surprising.
There,
I didn't think it was.
I would have liked for my father to have lived longer to see, 72 years old, you pass away, and when you have a life expectancy for another 15 years, potentially, there's a lot that can happen, right? And I had a lot of time with my dad, and I think that, once someone passes, you can, it changes what you think, of an everyday interaction. I did take for granted, and we've talked about that on the podcast. I look back at people in my family, and my dad is one. I would love to have just one conversation with him. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
Cheers to those that have passed.
Absolutely. I'm not going to lift my glass. You poured it too heavy.
You're not going anywhere.
Use your left arm.
This is less. Cheers. So let me look at my grandparents, right? So my mom's side, there's my grandma. Well, let me go with my grandpa. That's when I was listening to you guys talk, that was one that I actually really wanted to.
Your dad's side or your mom's side?
My mom's side. I would have loved to know him more, because I was like to your point, I was like 12 when he passed. And what I know my grandpa is that I knew he was a good businessman. I knew that he raised a family of 3 with my grandma, who outlived him by close to 15, 20 years.
Good for her.
Good for her. But to him, he was the one that to this podcast, he smoked a pipe. I didn't know he smoked cigars until years after we were cleaning out his office, which is my Uncle Bill's room growing up, and they made it into an office, and we found a humidor, which is still in my house. But I'd love to talk to him for the simple fact that I just didn't know him. I just knew him as grandpa. That was, he couldn't walk well, and he had one of those Amigos. It's like a yellow scooter.
I thought you were saying like a little friend.
He had a scooter on the first floor. He had a scooter on the second floor, and he had chairlift.
He's not messing around. He's getting from place to place.
He had a tub of mixture number 79, which is pipe tobacco.
Oh, I thought you were saying like mixers.
No, like this is something that wouldn't fly today. But when it was Christmas time, what do you get Grandpa Zider? A tub of mixture 79, because that he always needed it. This perfect fit, right?
Have you ever smoked it?
I have.
How is it?
I got two little boxes inside. It's very good, and I can get into another story about that when we were in Vegas for my grandma's 89th birthday. It brought tears to my aunt's eyes when I was smoking that. But I'd love to talk to my Grandpa Zider. I'd love to talk to my grandma Zider. I had many more conversations with her, obviously, because she lived a lot longer. And my grandpa Crane, that's a story for another day. I always push that off. But
if you had to pick one, Steve.
Probably my grandma Crane. She lived with us when we moved from Chicago to here, but she was grandma, and she was in the house in Westerville. But then when I went away to college, like she had already been living in like a senior living, but it was like not assisted. It was just kind of like a senior apartment, you know,
Assisted living.
and yeah, but it was just more like on staff. It wasn't like active. It was like an apartment complex for college kids, but they were all like 70 something. You know what I mean? Like that was
I know what happens.
All
at
right,
those
calm
places.
down.
All right.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there's facts.
She was the first one that gave me a double disc Frank Sinatra album.
Nice.
Cool lady.
Very cool. But I never got to know her. And when I was in college and came back and visited her in the assisted living, the nursing home, it didn't hit me. I was it was between not having a lot of like short-term memory, like in high school, like I mentioned, and where I'm at now. I would love to pick her brain about my grandpa, about my dad, about everything.
Know her as a person.
Yeah, I think that's a lady that took a lot of punches in life.
Figuratively.
No. Yes. Figuratively.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. She rolled with the punches and was a very strong woman that I would have loved to have a day with her.
Well said, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. We going pandemic or are we wrapping this thing up?
All right, let's do one more.
Can we not do pandemic?
Yeah.
All right. We got a lighthearted one. Or is there anything in the comments that's worth checking out?
Scroll through that while I scroll through this.
Not going to do that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon's one of them.
Okay. Yeah, I think Portland, Oregon's a great.
Oh God.
I think it's. I love Portlandia. I mean,
Hang on.
it's a great show.
What's your favorite flavor of Jell-O? Asking for a friend.
I mean,
Before you answer that, I do want to.
I have an answer.
I do want to throw out some things that I love this about the podcast. So we have a live studio audience. If you're listening to the audio only, if you tune in on Wednesdays live on Facebook or YouTube, I got Bobby Hirschman saying that the person that he wanted to do was my father smoking cigars and playing horseshoes.
Oh, wow. That's great, man.
You got Avi says Michael Jackson to teach me the moonwalk for my
so
birthday.
Not the receiver.
Oh.
Yeah. Cesar, who's been very active and a great supporter of the podcast recently, says Jesus. I would just ask him all about his life, which is cool.
That kind of goes back to my time travel
Yeah,
answer.
it's very cool.
Like-
Go on, Spencer.
Jesus, if you had to do anything differently.
He accomplished everything he wanted to in 3
Like,
years.
If you wanted to do things like, how would you?
3 years.
End well, right? What would you do differently?
If you know what you signed up for.
All right. What's another question?
Jello shots or Jello.
I don't want to go gel. I'd go nuts or no nuts.
No nuts. I'm allergic to a lot of them. I'm
There you
out.
go.
You go nuts
Wait.
in your Jello. In your mold.
Wait, nuts in my Jello?
Yeah.
No.
How about fruit chunks?
Oh,
No.
yeah, fruit. Yeah,
no
yeah,
fruit
yeah.
chunks.
No.
I need
So
some texture.
The
I need some
kids
texture.
don't
No.
like the fruit. You know, my mom
I
does
need
a
I
great,
couldn't even
like,
tell you the
mandarin
last time I
orange.
ate Jello.
Yeah.
All right, here's a lighter one. If you are granted one wish, what would it be? That's from Cesar.
Jesus.
All right, so what has the pandemic taught you? Name at least 10 good things which happened since COVID-19.
I couldn't name 10, but
I could do it.
I think everyone can name one.
Let's go with no. If you, on a related note, if you're granted one wish,
No pandemic. I mean, I feel like, this is softball, right?
all right, answer the two of them. Well, we got two more, and we're gonna call it a night here. If you're granted one wish, what would it be? More wishes. Go on. Next.
Cop out.
It's not a cop out. That's a smart answer if there's no disclaimer.
All right. If I had to do one wish, what would it be?
6 feet. What are you talking about? You're talking about.
I think so. I was talking. So here's actually a fair way to put
Less
this.
handsome?
You don't want that. So here's a fair way to put it. So my grandparents
And
are
viewers are going
are
down.
97 and 94. And
What's that again?
97 and 94, and they just celebrated their 73rd wedding anniversary. And we did on
Wow.
we did on Zoom on Monday. So we had 10 members of the family, and we did Zoom because we obviously can't see them. I try to see them every few months, but we can't see them. So
You have a very close family, which I love about that.
yeah. The number one thing that my grandpa said, with 73 years, there's obviously luck involved, there's compromise and things like that. But the number one thing that he said is health.
Health. What was it?
Health.
Health.
So two things. One, you can't just love your partner. You have to actually like him or her. So you have to genuinely like them as a person. You can't just love them. You have to like them. And the second thing is health. So my wish is that me and my family and my friends are healthy, and we're obviously not in the best situation right now, but that everyone has true health. Because if you don't have
it's a very relevant wish, right?
But if you don't have health, you don't have anything. So that would be my one wish, would be for everyone that I care about to be healthy.
By the way, I love the fact that, and it's a sad point that you kind of glossed over it, is that I think love is usually held at a higher standard.
You can love a lot of people. You can, have love for a lot of people too.
Especially when you're in like a close relationship with someone, like it's all about the love, but the that's the work.
There's going to be a lot of random Tuesdays that you're going to hang out with him or her that you better just like watching Netflix. You better like going on walks.
No,
you better
if you
just
wake up next to someone,
hanging
take
out
Netflix
with them.
out of it. You wake up next to someone.
So
I think like is
my mom
a big
just
thing.
answered your question. Love versus like. That's what I learned in my first marriage.
What was the answer?
She loved that person.
She loved
probably
him, but
didn't
she didn't like him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my goal personally is to really like the person I'm spending the rest of my life with.
Throw that in there. You probably love yourself, but sometimes you don't like yourself.
Or you can have a lot of love for exes and things like that as well, but you gotta love. You
typically
gotta
love
like
your
the person.
exes, but you do not like your exes.
There you go. There you go.
I'll tell you that.
It's well said, my friend. Well said.
I read it in a book.
You got one wish. You can't wish for new wishes.
I already took it.
Killed it.
More wishes for me and my friends. All the wishes, bro.
All the money.
Well,
All right, Will Smith.
well, no, I mean, I was gonna say,
Second Aladdin, way better than the original. I said it.
Get out. Never watched it, but get out.
Live action.
no, I was gonna say something money related. Like, I don't have a dollar figure, but if I didn't have to worry about money, it's not just because then I could
What does that mean, though?
But no, it's not just because, I could have whatever house I wanted, whatever car I wanted. Me and my wife could just have whatever we wanted.
Stability.
But it's not just that. Like, if I had more, I would be able to do more for other people.
But do you know what that amount is? That's.
Or do you know what you'd actually do for other people?
I have an idea what I could do for other people. I mean, because I've been one of those, like, I had an incident when I lived in my first apartment years ago where I was at a grocery store.
Beard is
And-
fantastic from this angle, for the record.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen Bedazzled?
Yes.
So he asked for more money.
Elizabeth Hurley.
No, I know that
She was
in her
working out.
heyday. She's
was
no
the-
you, Grant, but
that was the best part of that movie.
No, but the point was that you asked for more money. You have one wish, more money.
But with
You
him
have to
becoming,
structure it though.
yeah,
You have to structure it, because if you ask for more money, you got more money, and now all of a sudden
you're a drug lord who's wanted by however many governments.
or you got.
times have you guys watched Bedazzled?
She looked really good. And Brendan
This is not
Fraser.
a relevant movie.
By the way, for anyone listening,
He's
Brendan-
not doing great.
he's
Brendan Fraser ate Elizabeth Hurley. Like that's what Brendan Fraser. looks like
Brendan
now.
Fraser is as my
Like
college
from
roommate.
Encino Man, he's gone straight downhill.
Debatably the greatest actor of our generation or any generation.
It is a debate.
That's very
For sure,
debatable.
very
That's very
debatable.
debatable.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one debate. All right, Nate, go ahead.
But no, what I was
Jeff
saying.
Dovitz, if you're not listening, but yeah.
No, what I was saying. So I was at a grocery store, and the lady in front of me had a very limited budget, and she was buying her groceries, and the groceries came out to more than what she had. She only had cash, and it was more than what she could afford. And the last thing that the cashier rung up was a bag of oranges. And so she was over. So it was like $2 and change over what she could afford. And she's like, I can't afford the oranges.
So
Go
what's
ahead.
your wish there?
I was saying money, not because of what it can do for me, but then the ability to do for other people.
You
Feel
can
like
do that
he's,
now.
fishing a little
He's
bit.
not fishing.
Little
nah.
bit.
No, because then when that lady couldn't afford, when she
You
told,
could afford to you could afford to do that now.
if the situation came up again, yes, I could.
You didn't buy her fucking oranges?
I did. I bought them for her.
About time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Jesus.
But I mean, you know, I know if I didn't have to worry about me and my wife, and you know, if we want to get a house or you know having reliable cars or something like that would take a lot of the stress out of our lives and other things.
you want to
and-
put a finite number
But I
on
don't
this.
want to. But I don't want to do it just for me. I want to be able to do things for other people. Because if you have
you're
no,
asking your wish.
Yeah, it's very.
You're asking
yeah.
your wish.
it's a money thing, but it's not
Fair enough.
just
we
looking
get
at
that.
me.
We get that you have a good heart. We
Yeah,
get
but
that
when
the
you ask for a
principle's
wish, I'll say this.
What's your
When
wish?
you ask for a wish, that genie or
there. He's not going to ask for justifiability.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Like it's about
Or
like
she.
what's your wish?
What's
Or
your
she.
yeah?
What's your wish? More money,
Yeah.
How much?
or do you make the bedazzled mistake and you say, "I wish for more money"? It's
And
like,
he-
all right, so
I think
so
he wished to be rich, and it came with.
I'm asking you. You said more money. It's like, all right, here's $5 more. You didn't have before. You got more money.
No, it'd be a little bit more than that.
I'm not Elizabeth Hurley. Don't look at me like
No,
that.
I think it's a fair question. Is it 50,000, 100,000, 2 million?
What?
Quickly.
What?
Bill Gates money.
Go.
No, I don't even need that.
You don't need it, but if you're
Well,
wishing for it,
Yeah,
get,
what are
get
you wishing
after
for
it.
Okay, let's say 5 million,
Okay.
because I know with 5 million I can do what I want to do for me and my family, and I could do other things for other people that I want to do.
I'm never buying
No.
oranges again.
I love it.
All right, Steve, what you got?
Love the pandemic question, but I don't want to do it.
No, what's your wish?
I said more wishes.
Jesus, you cop out.
Sorry for being smart.
Sorry for being a cop out.
All right, so if you got more wishes, then what would be your
He'd eventually just keep asking for more wishes. I feel.
Yeah. So Cesar says, if you ask for money, make billions. Yeah. So I would literally just be like, all right, so
$10
Yeah.
billion.
10.
50. Why not? Fuck it.
If the bank's open.
Yeah, let's go bowling. Yeah, whatever.
No, I yeah. But I've seen Bedazzle as we talked about.
You are one of the people who has seen it. All right, Steve, we got.
It's funny when you talk about when like people ask if you win, like there was one that was if you win the lottery, what would you do tomorrow? It's like I've been saying this for a while. I would show back up to work the next day. I just would figure shit out, make it work. You know what I mean? Like it'd be cool to be able to do whatever you want with money, but it's you got to make it last, and you also have to enjoy it. And you ask for anything else.
That actually came up in the cigar shop one time.
It always does.
This guy was like, "Yeah, I'm from out of town. I'm from Montana." I was like, "Oh yeah, my dream is if I ever won the lottery, just buy some land out in Montana and hunt and fish on land." He goes, "Well, yeah, my dad actually owns like 3,000 acres in Montana and has a bunch of cattle, and that's my retirement. Is once he's done with it, I'm like, shit, because he's an anesthesiologist, so he's doing well for himself.
All right, here you go.
But yeah, he's living what I would like to do.
Let's go out on a bang here. Jenny says, "What again? I mentioned this. What has the pandemic taught you? Name at least 10 good things which happened since COVID-19."
I will say what it has taught me is taught me that you have to be okay living with yourself and being okay with yourself and not necessarily relying on others, but you have to be good with who you are and what you personally are doing. Especially in the first couple months, I had to be okay with just living with who I am and what I got and not relying on other people. And if you're okay with yourself, you can be a much better partner to your significant other. You can be a much better family member. But for me, it was you got to look yourself in the mirror and figure out who you are without dealing with other people. And if you can survive with not being without other people, then I will be a much better member of society when I get out of it.
One
Number
through 10
two.
Right no, it's 1 through 10 right there, right?
That's one. So I'm going to give it to Nate or Steve for number 2.
Well, I mean, one of the good things I would say that's come out of this is spending more time with my wife. Because up until this week, both of us were working from our laptops, sitting in the living room.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're able to just sit there and have a conversation while we're both doing work.
Yeah.
Whereas in a typical weekday, I'm at the office, she's at her office, and then she would pick me up from work, go to the Tinder Box, work my shift there, go home, eat dinner, go to bed, and then do it all again. And so we weren't really spending a whole lot of time together, except for Sundays. That's the one day off that we both have is Sundays. So being able to actually spend more time together, even though we're both still working, we're seeing each other more. We're spending more time with each other.
So what have you learned?
There are a lot of crazy people out there.
Fair.
They were there before the pandemic.
They were there before this, but this just brought it out of them.
1, don't take things for granted. I'm going to see how far I can go here. 1, don't take things for granted.
Sorry.
2, biceps need weights.
I'm laughing at my mom's answer to that question.
So yeah, 1, don't take things for granted, which I think a lot of people did. 2, based off of that, you need to keep working always, because life's not going to stop and everything you're doing is not going to just build on itself. And we've been exposed to that because a lot of people were just uprooted. 3, based on what Nate said, work on your relationships, because the positive that come out of that is what Jamie was asking. You got to keep working always on your relationship, because when things are going well and you're out of the house and they're out of the house, it's easy. There's a lot of relationships that I know firsthand right now that are struggling right now because it's not about kids that adds to it, but it's simply like, not saying Spencer, but I'm saying people in Spencer's position that are traveling salespeople that are used to a certain dynamic that was sacrificed, and now you are on top of each other, and you gotta look back and you gotta remember. So the positive is that you have more time with that spouse or significant other, or those kids, or that social circle. We're at 4.
Are you done? Did you run out?
Oh, we're at 4.
Yeah, this is number 4.
So 4, take care of yourself. The positive out of this is that you got to take care of yourself physically. So stay active. For those that weren't active before all this pandemic, is that you were surviving. And for those that were active and now you're struggling to find it, you got to get more creative. For those that weren't active, in my opinion, you need to get active, because physically, when you're talking about a pandemic that's based on health,
Fucking prepare yourself.
prepare yourself. Don't get lazy. 5, my positive out of it was something that you are constantly learning about nutrition. We talked about this in the podcast before. One of the things that drove me nuts is that when I was going into Kroger or Giant Eagle or Meijer or Walmart or anything else, I couldn't fucking find toilet paper. But if I needed vitamin D3, I could buy all the vitamin D3 I wanted, because no one fucking cared about that. Because that is a strong immunity thing that
Take it
people
every day, bro.
You should. So there's 5. 6. Think about what's being told to you, in the sense that the reason you couldn't find toilet paper, to build off of 5. When everyone talks about we want to take care of everyone early on, we got to go back to March and April right now. Is that through the pandemic, is that everyone was like, I want to make sure everyone is safe. You know what they did say? Fuck everyone. I don't care if they can wipe their ass or they're shit in a hole in the US.
Every man for themselves.
Every man for themselves. Because you know what happens is that when you get down to it, everyone talks about, I want to make sure everyone is healthy and safe and everything else. Cool. When you go to fucking Walmart or Costco or Sam's Club, you are buying everything you can for toilet paper because you are worried that you're going to be quarantined. And you know what happens is you don't care about anyone. It shows that.
Agreed.
7, be
6.
nice to people.
6.
That was 6.
That was 6.
Yeah.
That was a good 6.
You can roll the tape back later.
Yeah.
6.5. No, 7.
How would you rate the cigar?
7. Be nice to people. I'm tired of this shit. What I learned about the pandemic is you take politics out of it. Didn't say it. I didn't say it.
You literally said it.
No, he
say it.
didn't. But I'll still drink to it.
You're gonna drink to anything. All right, so 7.
Be nice.
Be nice.
Don't worry. Be happy.
What I learned about this is what bothers me about it all is that all of the polarization of your viewpoints.
We thought this would bring everyone together, and it did not.
It's not going to.
It should have, though. If anything was going to bring people together, it's a freaking pandemic, and it just did not.
Absolutely.
But be nice, no matter of your
What was
political
6
beliefs.
That's 6 or 7.
That's a 7.
7. Good. I'm fucking running out. Going for 10. So
8.
7 is be nice. And what I learned about it is the fact that no one is nice. You talk about driving and like, people are crazy.
That's not. Come on. Can't say no one is nice.
Hold on.
I apologize.
Yes.
There are a lot of
you're
people
saying
that
is be nice, and
be nice.
If you're
and,
nice,
and remember that
kindness is a
All right.
virtue.
8.
Yes.
Learn from each other. Keep your ears open, because if you have your viewpoint and that's it, and you stop listening to the other side because they're not on your side,
Not growing.
you're not going to grow, and you are going to create a bigger divide than what already exists, in my opinion.
Agreed.
9. Take care of each other, and these are all related, but take care of each other. Because when you're going through this, I know this firsthand, in a relationship I'm in, is that during all this stuff, is that this is not normal. No one knows how to handle this.
Well, I think it's good to
notice
notice that's not normal too.
I know, but in our reality is that no one really understood going into it how the people that are important to them, people they care about, how they're going to react to it. So now it's you already care about. You can be with that person for a year, 10 years, 20 years, and this shit comes down.
Now you see what's happening.
It's gonna test some. It's gonna test some
No, now you
relationships.
No holds barred.
Yeah, now you see what people are really about.
We got 10 yet?
Yeah, this is 10. Better be good. Better not be nice again.
He still came up with more than you and I combined.
I had all these written down. He saw these questions before.
No, this is the best part of the podcast right
All
here.
right, what you got for 10?
Yeah. Big disclaimer.
Take your time.
As
We
Steve's
are on audio.
This is a
relighting.
power move.
This is why.
by the way.
This is
Power
why,
move.
This is why.
The
listen to it-
Dino
audio,
the
I'm-
Dino
I'm-
this
Tripodis
is why I
power
listen
move.
to it on 2-speed for the record. For moments just like this.
Support your community.
Nice.
Number 10 is the thing I learned was, and I was a part of the moving industry. Now I'm part of the cigar industry. There's a lot of people I know. A lot of people that are worried what's going to come because they're not sure if they're not the owner, or if they are the owner, they don't know what's coming. If they are part of the frontline staff, they don't know what they're going to do. Is support local. Is all this stuff that is really the big players, is the online, is the Amazons and everything else, is that we have lost our way in the sense that you can do both. You can buy stuff online that you can't find local, but sometimes get out of your house and go buy local and support your restaurants, support your tobacco shops, support your whatever. You know, Spencer's in the cabinet, the furnishing business,
New construction remodeling industry.
but it's about the fact that you don't always have to look for the cheapest deal. Look for the good deal.
You get what you pay for.
A lot of the times. So that's my number 10 is support local and support people that you care about, because if you're constantly asking for deals, and I was one of those people that did that, is that when I know someone that does something in that industry that I want to do, I expect the deal, and I don't always care for it when someone does the same to me. So the way you survive through all this stuff as a group, as a society, is support everyone. So the biggest one that's missing out of this is local.
Yes.
These are the 10 biggest things on a podcast.
That's great, Steve. And you killed it, buddy.
Wow.
Bobby
All right.
Hirschman says, "Wow, stop! You guys are hammered."
All right, what's 11 through 20?
No, I want to thank everyone for throwing out questions and topics and everything else. And Bobby Hirschman, it's funny. He's one that he says stuff like that, but he's still listening.
Yeah. Earlier it's like, yeah, peace out. But then, yeah.
All right, Nate, Mr. Final comments?
So,
Final words?
eh. Thanks for putting me on the spotlight first, Spencer. But, going into this episode, we didn't really have one specific topic we were going to talk about. We knew it was going to be a Q&A, kind of a grab bag, whatever. And it started out lighthearted. And then by the end, as what typically happens, things got serious.
Yeah.
Because, we started out joking, but then we started talking about real life. And that's the thing that we all have to deal with. We still have to deal with real life. And Steve, I think it was amazing that you actually went through all 10, came up with 10 things. Because when I first read that question, I was like, or when you first said the question, I was like, okay, I can think of one answer, because I really didn't think much into it.
So I think a lot of people can think of 10 if they continue to go through their thoughts.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
I
do.
Yeah, I think they could, being put on the spot. Like, I was like, okay, here's the first thing that jumps out at
I
me.
didn't get political.
I mean, I
You ready
said
for political. You want 11 through 20? Here we go.
After hours.
No.
Here we go.
but no,
Trump Biden, go.
I said the first thing that came to my mind, and I really hadn't thought about it, because the reason I really didn't think about anything else when I gave my answer to that question was I really hadn't thought about much more beyond that. I really didn't give it some serious thought. I didn't go deeper into
Why?
it. I mean, when you read the question, I just said the first thing that came to my mind. I could probably come up with more had I, if I was given time to actually sit down and come up with answers. But I think that just shows, how real life this is.
But I tell you,
when I say that, like the podcast, I mean, because Spencer kind of joked around with his answer, I kind of joked around with my answer, and then Steve, you went on.
welcome.
You went on your.
Welcome to my head.
Yeah, you
on a daily basis.
Well, but this is the stuff that you and I talk about sometimes. This is stuff that you and I
Sorry
talk
about
about.
that. Sorry about that.
No, this is stuff that we talk about on Saturdays or Tuesdays when we're working together. And why do we talk about it? Because it's real life. And I think you did a great job in taking what started out. I mean, we all were part of it. Taking something that started out as more of a humorous, lighthearted episode, but then we brought it, mainly you, when I say we, brought it to, real time life, down to earth stuff. Like none of the stuff that you said was bullshit.
Appreciate that.
For 4 through 7 were bullshit.
I gotta run the tape back.
I challenge you on that. But no, I mean,
it's fair.
Yeah.
Spencer, closing remarks.
Thanks, Nate.
Hey, you put me on the spotlight first. Sorry if I took your answer.
I mean, mine's going to be short and sweet. So,
thousands of people.
Yeah,
listening
thank
right
you,
now.
gentlemen, for allowing me to be on the podcast. I greatly
love
appreciate it.
having you
I mean,
on.
the coolest thing.
Thank you for the bottle.
Of course. The coolest thing about it is obviously we're towards the bottom of the bottle, which was nice. But the coolest thing about the pandemic, and I know we didn't get to the question, is that you were able to maintain this podcast through it. And I think people like a level of consistency through it, like what you had to talk about, or whether you're one-on-one or Zoom or things like that. You figured it out how to maintain some level of normalcy through this, and the people that are able to adapt to the current environment are the people that are going to thrive. I know you're not able to go into the office here for the next several months, but if you're able to adapt to that, you will thrive when things go back to the AK normal and things like that. But this is truly, I think it's somewhere between 10 and 12, 10 and 13 episodes. So to be on episode 130,
Yes,
30 is very
2.5
impressive.
years.
Impressive. I think you all should be super proud. And people can say what they want about Facebook. One of the coolest things I see about Facebook is when we post this as, hey, I remember this episode from 2 years ago, and that's very heartwarming to see. I will say, just kind of going back to what we've had to sip on and things like that, I'm glad that I was able to bring something that we haven't had before. Whether or not we're ever going to try it again, who knows? But it's just cool to have a bottle that we've never tried before. And again, this Monte Cristo White brings back some serious memories. And if I was going to rate this cigar, I'd say 9.5. But this is one of the best cigars I've ever had, and will continue to have. I know I had a handful of times, but I thoroughly enjoy this. And Steve, I just commend you and Nate and Dustin, and obviously Jake, for what you guys have done for this podcast, and it's just an honor to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I love our supporters. Like Bobby Hirschman, who has been a big supporter, and it's funny. Like, I don't know what
you get a T-shirt.
He's getting a T-shirt.
Better get a T-shirt.
Well,
he is. He sent us some T-shirts. Nate's gonna grab some of his T-shirts that he sent us. Q&A portion. This is the big thing, and I'll build off of what you said, Spencer. Is that, hey, hold that up for Bobby if he's still listening.
What does that say?
Bay shipping. Bay shippers. Newcastle, Delaware.
yeah.
So Bobby Hirschman's on Facebook, very active, and Instagram. Bay Shippers LLC, Newcastle, Delaware. There you go, Bobby. He says sweet. Nicest thing you said in the last 30 minutes.
True.
Thing I love about this podcast is that this is what I think that we've talked about this off camera and on camera, is that this is what we need sometimes. And sometimes this is what a lot of people that are listening in, if you know people that want to just hang out, especially right now, like Spencer, you were saying, like we kept this thing going.
You kept it going. Nate kept it going. You two kept it going.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like we kept it going for the community, and it was like we had some of the greatest podcasts with some of the biggest cigar and whiskey people, and we're gonna do more of it.
Good.
We've learned. Next week, I'm locking up. It's a local distillery for those that aren't in Ohio, but it's a local distillery.
Budweiser.
No,
All right.
it is. They do the whiskey war. High Bank.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. So we're hoping to get them on next week. So if you guys are listening tonight at the end, hopefully next week we can get them on for at least part one. They're looking for like, is an hour good? I'm like, you haven't listened to the podcast. So we'll figure it out. They might be on the first part. We might be on the second part. But I got to say, through this pandemic, I think that we've done a good job on this. And I appreciate all the community support. I encourage everyone to continue to support everyone else. It's frustrating because every day I've been more involved in Twitter recently.
Not a smart move for your
Not a
mental
smart
health.
move. Not a smart move.
What's like you're battling people on Twitter, or you're just on
I have
it?
not been active. I've been listening.
Not
And it's-
even worse.
Yeah, but I got to listen to both sides of it. I try to listen to CNN and Fox News and everyone in between because this is the position we're in, and Twitter is a great translator if you actually take a step back, in my opinion.
It's the vocal minority.
It's a fair point. I want to thank everyone for being a part of the podcast. Part 2, Q&A, topics, and everything else. I'm looking forward to 130 more episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Spencer, thank you for being a part of it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for hosting.
Nate, always, everyone involved, thank you.